Hey everyone, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for helping me reach 100 subscribers. I honestly couldn't have done this without your love, support, and constant encouragement. Every like, comment, and subscribe means a lot to me. Now let's keep this journey going. Our next target is 200 subscribers, and I know we can do it together. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's grow as a family. Thank you once again. Queen of the Pirates follows a gender-bent Luffy who dreams just as fiercely of becoming Pirate King, except this time, she's aiming to be Queen of the Pirates. The journey stays close to canon in spirit, with adventure, battles, and crew building across the seas, but shifts in interesting ways because of Femme Luffy's presence. Her dynamic with the Straw Hats, especially Zoro, leads to plenty of awkward, funny, and emotionally charged moments as friendship slowly blurs into something more. Along the way, the story balances classic One Piece chaos with growing romance, loyalty, and the challenges of being taken seriously in a pirate world that underestimates her. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is Queen of the Pirates by MewStar0013. Respect to author.
Chapter 6, Black Cats Crossing Our Path. I wonder where Captain is. He's been gone for a while, said Carrot as he and his crewmates paced back and forth. They, and Nami and Zoro, were near a wooden fence and they were waiting for the return of a black-haired, rubber girl or a lying sniper. Yeah, Lucy, too, said Zoro as he leaned against the wooden fence with crossed arms. Well, Captain usually hangs out by the shore when he gets upset, said Pepper. Nami looked towards the direction of the shore. My guess is Lucy went there to cheer him up, she said. The five suddenly spotted a running Usopp coming toward them. His face looked with full panic. Captain, is something wrong? Asked the Usopp pirates. The sniper ignored them and he ran in the direction of the village. Something's wrong, muttered Zoro, having a sudden feeling that Usopp's panic meant that something bad had happened to Lucy. Usopp ran into the village and he screamed at the top of his lungs, run. Real pirates are coming here. I'm not lying this time. Please. They'll kill you all if you don't leave right now. The villagers suddenly appeared, more angrier than they ever looked before. They yelled at Usopp, shouting that they were sick of his lies and that they were going to finish him once and for all. Usopp shook his head, now knowing the reason why Kurohito, aka Captain Kuro, didn't chase after him when he ran away. The butler knew that the village would not believe him because of his many lies. With another shake of his head, the skinny sharpshooter headed off to the only person who would believe him. He had to get to Kaya. And he had to get to her fast. This is the place. Captain always hangs around here, said Carrot as he, his friends, and the two pirates made it to the place where Lucy and Usopp had been. They looked all over the cliff, searching for the happy-go-lucky captain. Nami suddenly screamed, Lucy, oh my god, she shrieked. Everyone looked where the redhead was looking and they all gasped. At the bottom of the cliff, lying in a crumpled heap, was a very dead-looking Monkey D. Lucy. Zoro was the most shocked out of them all. No, she can't be dead, this can't be happening again. Thought the swordsman as his blood ran cold. God damn it, no, Lucy, he yelled as he ran forward and he skidded down the rocky slope in a haste. He ran over to his captain and he stopped when he was a foot away. Zoro's breath went irregular as his eyes took in the fallen form of the raven-haired girl. He felt his heart nearly stop and he shook his head with his eyes shut, not believing at all at what he was seeing. No, not her, why did I had to lose someone else? Can I have seconds, please? Zoro's eyes shot back open and he suddenly smirked at his captain, who was giving light murmurs in her sleep. The others had reached the two as well and they soon found out about the scene. Zoro pulled out one of his katanas and he poked his captain with the handle of it. The Gum-Gum girl sat up instantly and she gave a huge yawn. She rubbed her eyes and she said, "Morning, guys," as she wiped her eyes tiredly. Everyone, excluding Zoro, gave a sigh of relief. So, you mind telling us why you're down here taking a nap? Asked Zoro. Lucy shrugged. No clue. I don't even remember falling asleep. Oh, but I do remember this, exclaimed the red vest, wearing teen. She explained to them everything she heard from Kuro and the strange man and their plot. No way. So a pirate crew is coming here tomorrow, exclaimed Pepper. Lucy gave a nod. Yep, exactly that, she said. No wonder Usopp ignored us when he passed us. He's probably gonna go warn the village, said Nami. Well, I know what we should do. Run, yelled the Usopp pirates as they ran away as quickly as they could. Lucy suddenly screamed as well. Oh no, we have to stop the pirates or else they'll make the butcher of this town leave. She yelled. Nami face-palmed while Zoro whacked the onyx-eyed girl lightly on the back of her head. Moron, That's not the problem we should be worried about, said Zoro. Lucy rubbed her head and she simply grinned. Usopp's black stoned bullets hit the men that were guarding Kaya. He had tried to explain the heiress the situation, but the young lady did not believe him. She thought he was lying to her to get back at Kurohito. Usopp had managed to get Kaya out of her mansion and he had beaten some of the guards. Usopp turned to Kaya and he held out his hand. Please, Kaya, this will all make sense tomorrow. We just have to get you out of here. Please, Ka. Usopp felt the stinging pain of Kaya's slap. He looked at the girl in disbelief. Kaya turned her head and she cried a bit. I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. What you're doing now is pathetic, she whispered. Usopp's eyes widened, not believing what he has hearing. There was a sudden bang and Usopp felt and sharp pain hit his arm. He held his now bleeding arm and he took one last look of Kaya and the butler who came to the lady's aid and he took off like a rocket. The villagers had also found him somehow and they took after him. Kaya continued to cry. Do me a favor and leave. You're being quite meddlesome. Geez, sorry for intruding, miss. Meddling has become a habit of mine. But, it did help me save a whale one time. A whale, really? Yep, that's the truth. And he had a sore throat, too. I checked it out for him but he thought I was food and... A tear slid down Usopp's cheek as he remembered the fond memories he had with Kaya. He had just managed to get away from the angry villagers and the sun was just beginning to set. And truth be told, the young sniper always had a crush on Kaya, ever since they met. He thought she was the most beautiful girl in the world. He then shook his head, throwing his thoughts of love out of the way. He winced as his grazed arm stung with pain. It bled more and Usopp knew it was getting infected. Hey, Captain. Hey, what's got ya down? Usopp's head shot up and he couldn't believe his eyes. Not at the sight of his crew or Nami and Zoro but, at the sight of a smiling and waving Lucy. Wasn't she dead? Usopp ran straight toward them and he stared at Lucy with wide eyes. Hold on, you're alive, he exclaimed. Lucy blinked and she checked herself. Well, yeah, I'm breathing, and I had a good nap, too, she said smiling. Yeah, she was just sleeping, Captain. But back to the matter at hand, we need to warn the people about the pirates. Exclaimed Onion. Usopp suddenly frowned and he looked at the ground and his shoulders began to shake. He suddenly threw his head back and laughed. Man, I can't believe you guys fell for that. But Kurohito made me so mad, I just had to think about a lie as good as that one. He laughed, faking tears of humor. The Usopp pirates frowned in disappointment. Sheesh, lying that far. Real nice. We thought you were better than that. Come on guys, let's go home, said Carrot as he and the two other boys walked back to the village. Usopp stared at them sadly. Chalk up another lie. Usopp clenched his teeth as Nami applied an antibiotic on his wound and tied gauze around his injury. Those two, along with Zoro and Lucy, were by the bottom of the cliff. The same spot Lucy had fallen asleep. So, how come you lied to them? The kids, I mean, said Lucy as she sat next to Usopp. The sniper stared at his tied-up wound. It's all I do. Besides, everyone else on this whole island knows I'm nothing but a liar. They would never believe a thing I say. Why would they? He asked. Zoro gave a firm look. Because what you said was the cold, hard truth. Actual pirates are coming and they'll lay waste to this town. He said. That doesn't matter. They wouldn't believe me anyway. But you know what? Asked Usopp, his head looking down and his shoulders shaking again. I don't care if they don't believe me. I'm gonna protect my village till my last breath. I care for everyone here and I won't let them die. Never, yelled the slingshot wielder as tears freely ran down his eyes. Zoro gave a knowing smirk and he clenched his katanas. You're a hell of a good guy to think about your crew first while you have a strong enemy approaching, he said. Nami gave a grin. Let me tell you this now, I get dibs on all the pirate treasure that's left behind, she said. Lucy tipped her hat down and she gave a teeth-baring look. So, you want some help, or what? She asked seriously. Usopp stared at them in bewilderment. You're gonna help me. But why? He asked. Lucy flexed her fingers. Well, I bet there's gonna be a whole lot of pirates and you're literally shaking in your boots, she said. Usopp looked down at his feet and they were shaking like leaves. Okay, yeah, I'm a little afraid. These guys mean business and I bet they killed a lot of people. And hey, if you guys are just doing this out of pity. Pity, please, that word isn't even in my vocabulary, interrupted Zoro with a hard look. Lucy's look could easily rival his. You think we'd risk our lives out of pity? Think again, she said. Usopp stared at the three of them and his eyes began to water again. You, guys, he sniffled before nodding. Okay, I already got a plan we could use, he said as he stood up and led the three to a slope. This is the only way the pirates can get to the village. The other ways are just nothing but cliffs. As long as we get them here, it won't matter how many there are, we can just beat them here on out, explained Usopp as they stood by the slope. Sounds good to me, said Lucy. Okay, for this we need to rely on our strengths. So, what are yours? Asked Usopp to the three. I cut. Zoro. I stretch. Lucy. I steal. Nami. I hide. Usopp. Well, you better fight this time, yelled Lucy, Nami, and Zoro simultaneously as they grabbed Usopp in a chokehold. Okay, I was only kidding, said Usopp jokingly. Oi, and they thought Lucy was the idiot of this story. Okay, the oil is set. While those pesky pirates are slipping and sliding, we'll be beating the crap out of them. Yep, I'm a genius, said Usopp a few hours later. It was already close to daybreak and the four had just spread tons of oil on the slope. Lucy tested the slippery substance with her foot. I gotta say, Usopp, you sure know how to play dirty, she said. Usopp crossed his arms proudly. Of course I know. There isn't anyone else in the world who could use a slingshot or play dirty like me, he said. Lucy smiled, briefly seeing Usopp in Usopp's place for a second. The wind suddenly began to blow harder and the sun broke over the horizon. Get ready, muttered Zoro as his hand rested on his katanas. The three others waited with him. No one dare moved a muscle or even made a sound. The village a few miles behind them was still asleep, not aware of the horrible events that were taking place today. Oh, no, they could have gone the other way. I'm so stupid. There's another coast here, yelled Usopp suddenly. The three foreigners gasped and Lucy was the first to recover. What's the quickest way there? She demanded. Straight north. You could get there in 3 minutes flat, said Usopp. Lucy nodded and she began sprinting with Usopp trailing with her. Nami had followed them, for the sake of her treasure, while Zoro had accidentally slipped down the oil slop. Oh, come on, he exclaimed in frustration. As soon as they got near the other coast, Usopp had began shooting rock bullets at the rogue pirates, known as the Black Cat Pirates. All of them were, oddly enough, wearing black cat ears on their heads. All except one. He was the same man that hypnotized Lucy. So, we meet again, said the man, known as Django. Usopp slipped on his sniper goggles. I am the great Captain Usopp. Leave now or me and my men will finish you. He yelled. Shit, where the heck is Lucy? She ran ahead of me. What am I gonna do? What I'm a gonna? Get your damn paws off my treasure. Nami suddenly appeared and she stood angrily with one of her 3 long poles. She bashed Usopp on the head. Idiot, don't let them take my hard-earned berry. She yelled. Usopp rubbed his head. Ow, they didn't even know about that cash. No need to hit me. He yelled. Nami rolled her eyes. Ha, I just saved your life, so be grateful, she said. Usopp was about to counter when the two of them noticed the Black Cat Pirates were charging. Let's handle this later. Got any ideas? Asked Nami. Usopp reached into his satchel and he pulled out a bunch of caltrops. Both he and Nami grinned and they threw the small sharp objects at the cat-eared wearing pirates. The pirate ruffians yelped and yelled as the caltrops stabbed them hard. Nami and Usopp high-fived with grins of satisfaction. They soon came with another dilemma. They accidentally threw caltrops behind them and they were trapped. Damn it, they both cursed. A man suddenly appeared behind Usopp and he whacked him in the head with a giant mallet. Usopp coughed up blood and he fell to the floor. Hey, nice try, but you kids can't beat us. Come on men, we can't keep Captain Kuro waiting, said the man as he moved forward. Something suddenly caught his leg and he looked down. Usopp clenched his teeth as he gripped the man's ankle. I will never let you in that village, panted the sniper as he got back to his feet. He swayed slightly and a trail of blood was running down the side of his head. All I ever did was lie. Today, will be like every other. Because, Usopp gave them a cold and angry glare. I won't let you reach that village. He yelled. The man merely smirked and he threw his mallet again, causing Usopp to fall again. Nami tried to help him but the pirates knocked her back as well. The pirates gave mighty battle cries and they stormed past the fallen fighters. Stay back, leave them alone, they are good people, leave them, just leave, muttered Usopp as the pirates ignored his pleas. Usopp's eyes closed as fresh tears came to his eyes. SSSSTTTT2PPPPP. Usopp's eyes shot open as the many bodies of the Black Cat Pirates flew over him, their faces ridden with pure pain. The sharpshooter gasped as he sat up, ignoring the throbbing and aching pain on his head. His eyes widened as 2 people appeared. One was a meat-loving captain and the other was a 3-sword-wielding man. 3 chances to guess who these 2 were. Winking-faced Lucy panted tiredly as Zoro tied his bandana around his head. Is that the best these bastards got? Asked Zoro as he pulled out his katanas. Lucy nodded in agreement and the 2 suddenly glared. Lucy to Usopp while Zoro to Nami. The next time you betray me, I'm kicking your ass. Usopp, you moron. You didn't tell me which way was north. Oh boy, things are certainly getting interesting now. Kaya woke up with a start and she sat up in her bed. She panted as her heart was beating at a quick pace. She just had the most terrifying nightmare of her life. She dreamt that Usopp had came with a sword and he was acting so angry towards her. He hated her for knowing that he had the blood of a pirate. Kaya gave a sad frown, wondering if her old friend was okay. She then coughed and she decided to get a glass of water. She slipped on her slippers and she walked out of her room. She checked the foyer for one of her loyal servants, Mary, when she gasped. Mary laid on the floor, slashed at his chest and his own blood surrounded him. "Mary!" exclaimed Kaya as she ran over to her servant and she dropped to her knees. She shook the sheep-like servant's unmoving body. "Mary! Mary! Please, what's going on? Who did this to you? Please, don't die!" cried the blonde heiress. Mary's body twitched and he turned his head to his mistress. Blood oozed from his mouth and he gave a concerned look. "My lady, thank goodness you're alive," he whispered in a labored voice. He then turned his body and he laid on his back with a grunt. Tears rimmed Kaya's eyes. "Mary, please, tell me who did this to you," she said. Mary clenched his teeth and he looked sadly at the brown-eyed girl. It was Kurohito. "He attacked me. He's a pirate, miss," choked out the servant. Kaya gasped. Did that mean everything Usopp had told her was the truth? It can't be," whispered Kaya in a shaky voice. Mary clenched his jaw tightly. "It is, my lady. Kurohito only stayed as your butler because he only wanted your fortune. He waited 3 years for a day like this. A day where no one would be around to stop him. Miss, I beg of you, just give him what he wants. It's better than anyone getting hurt," begged Mary. Kaya bit her lip before nodding in agreement. She knew what she had to do. "Ka!" yelled Zoro as the 2 black cat pirates, known as the Mioban brothers, scratched him at his chest with their large claws. The scratches left Zoro with server wounds and the swordsman flew back, landing hard on the ground. Zoro gritted his teeth and he stood back on his feet. He was left with only one katana. With Lucy knocked out, he doesn't stand a chance. He needs his other sword. It's the only way he can beat these freaks. "Stay here," commanded Nami as she ran down the slope at the 2 katanas. Before she even touched them, Django suddenly appeared and he sliced her in the shoulder blade with a large silver ring. Nami gasped in pain as she fell to the floor. Blood poured slowly out of her wound. Django smirked and he looked up to the slope and he suddenly gave a yelp. Standing a few yards away was Kurohito, otherwise known as Captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates. With furious eyes, Kuro yelled into the air. "What the hell is going on? Oh crap," was the only thing that went through everyone's mind. Things weren't looking up one bit. Lucy couldn't believe her own the heck was going on. She had just woken up from her sudden sleep attack and she had just witnessed one of the most sickest and terrifying moments she ever thought possible. Kuro was using some sort of technique, shikushi, she believed it was called, and the attack seemed to kill and slash at everything in sight. As she saw the men of the Black Cat Pirates fall, she screamed to the sky, "Have you no honor? You're killing your own crew." Kuro suddenly appeared before her and he gave a smirk before appearing at the back of her. "Tired yet?" she asked, her voice filled with question. Kuro smirked and he flexed his long claws. "Don't get cocky, runt, that was just a warm-up. The real battle begins now," yelled the once servant as he charged with his shikushi. Lucy surprised him when her arms and legs suddenly bonded around the clawed man's upper body, immobilizing him. Lucy gave a monkey-like grin. "Hey, nice try, ya jerk," she said cheekily. "Get off me, you brat," yelled Kuro in fury as he tried to shake the devil fruit user off him. "This is a turn of events, huh? 3 years of working for a girl and now you're being beaten by a girl. Talk about irony," said Lucy. The injured Black Cat pirate suddenly cheered on Lucy. The onyx-eyed pirate clenched her jaw and she threw her neck back, stretching it enough to reach the ruffians. "Don't cheer me on, morons," she yelled as her head snapped back and it smashed with Kuro's. The once captain gave a hard yell and he and Lucy flew back. Lucy landed on the ground on all fours while Kuro laid at the ground, dead. "Who are you?" yelled one of the Black Cat pirate. Lucy got to her feet and she gave the men a serious look. "I'm Monkey D. Lucy," she said. She then looked at Kuro and she glared hard. "The only time a pirate should abandon their name is when they die. I would never lose to a man who ditches his name, betrays his friends, and runs his life to the seas," she said in serious tone she hardly used. She then grabbed Kuro by his neck and she threw him to the pirates. "Now get out of here and never come back," she yelled. The Black Cat pirates yelled as they ran toward their boat, wanting to get the hell away from a pissed-off Lucy. Nami jogged over to her captain, her shoulder injury not looking so bad as it had seemed. Before she could say a word, Lucy fell forward. Nami caught her quickly. "Ya did good, Lucy," said the thief as she helped the she pirate to the ground. Lucy laid on her back and she stared at the never-ending sky. "Say, Lucy, why did you get so mad back there?" asked Nami as she sat by the she pirate and she checked the kid's straw hat. "I hate people like them. The kind of people who just abandon their friends get me so mad," muttered Lucy. Nami sighed. "Well, I'm sorry to say this but, not every pirate you're going to meet is going to be kind and thoughtful. You know that, right?" asked the navigator. Lucy rubbed her stomach. "Man, I want some meat," she said absent-mindedly. Nami bashed her on the head. "Sheesh, get serious for once, kid," she yelled. Lucy just shrugged and grinned, being completely oblivious. Usopp and Zoro had shown up a few moments later after their small mission. Django had kidnapped Kaya and he had forced her to sign a will. But, with the help of the sniper and samurai, the two saved the heiress with the help of the Usopp pirates. Thanks a bunch, guys. I couldn't have done this without you, said Usopp. Lucy cracked a grin. Our pleaser. It was a load of fun, she said. The group laughed and Usopp sighed. He looked to Ocean and said, now there's just one thing left to decide it on. Lucy cocked an eyebrow. What more was to be done? Lucy picked her teeth with a fish bone as she finished her food. She, Nami, and Zoro were at the restaurant Usopp had taken them to and they were just finishing lunch. Usopp had said he had to do something. Okay, we should get going now, said Zoro. Lucy and Nami nodded in agreement. Lucy then waved to someone. Hiya, little miss. She called. The little miss she was referring to was Kaya as she walked over to their table. Are you feeling well? Asked Nami. Kaya nodded. Yes, thank you for asking. You know, my sickness was due to the shock of losing my parents. But Usopp had helped me onto the road to recovery. You three as well. Please, I would love to give you a token of gratitude for all of your help. Please follow me, said Kaya. All three pirates raised their eyebrows. What could it be? Holy moly guacamole, exclaimed Lucy, her mouth as wide as her crewmates. Kaya had taken them to the coast where a giant caravel was waiting for them. It's Zhu Wow, exclaimed Nami. You're actually giving to us. No way, no way, no way, exclaimed Lucy as she did a small happy dance. Kaya smiled along with Mary, who had recovered from his injuries. Please, accept it as a token of my gratitude, said Kaya. It's an old-style caravel I designed myself. It has Latin sails with a central sail rudder. It sails like a dream, said Mary as he smiled. What do you call it? Asked Zoro. Mary smiled again. The Going Merry. Now, allow me to explain how to handle it. First you, Lucy zoned out on him and she walked to the front of the ship. The figurehead was in the shape of a ram's head. With a smile, Lucy thought, oh yeah, it's official. I call dibs on that awesome seat. I love it. We've loaded it with all you need for safe journeys, said Kaya. Lucy gave a smile. Thank you. It leaves nothing to be tired, she said. You mean, nothing to be desired, corrected Zoro. The five suddenly heard yelled and they looked to the slope. Usopp was rolling down it with a giant backpack on his back. With raised eyebrows and foots, Lucy and Zoro stopped Usopp. Thanks guys, said Usopp as his head span. Anytime, said Lucy. So, you're going to leave, correct? Asked Kaya when she got alone with Usopp. Yeah, don't try to stop me, alright? Asked Usopp. Kaya smiled softly and she nodded. I won't, because I know you'll come back with more fantastic stories, she said. Usopp smiled back. Yeah, and that's the real truth, he said with a laugh. Kaya smiled again and she leaned forward and she gave Usopp a kiss on the cheek. The sniper turned 3 shades of red and he began stuttering. Kaya giggled at him. Usopp then turned to the 3 pirates, who were on the Going Merry. So long, guys. I'm taking off, too. I hope we meet again someday, he called. Lucy tilted her head in confusion. What are you talking about? We're friends so, you're coming with us, right? She asked. Usopp's jaw dropped before he cheered into the air. Yahoo! I'm finally gonna be a real pirate captain. Don't be ridiculous, Usopp. I'm the captain. Everyone laughed as the 4 pirates began sailing away. Usopp waved at the Usopp pirates, who were waving back from the cliffs. As they sailed farther and farther away, something suddenly hit Lucy. Hey, Nami, why did Little Miss kiss Usopp on the cheek? She asked. Nami blinked before giggling at her captain's simple-mindedness. She did it out of gratitude, Lucy. A lot of girls thank boys that way, she said. Lucy tapped her fist to her hand. So, she was thanking him? She asked. Nami nodded. Lucy smiled and she jogged over to Zoro, pushing up on her toes, she gave the swordsman a peck on the cheek. Zoro nearly fell of the boat. Did his captain just did that? What the hell, moron? He yelled, his cheeks turning as red as tomatoes. Lucy gave a grin. I'm just thanking you, Zoro. You're my best friend, she said. Zoro blushed harder and he touched the spot where Lucy kissed him. It still had the sensation of her soft and warm lips. He blushed went scarlet. Lucy then turned to Usopp. Okay, Usopp. I want to know what's your dream and why, she said. Usopp looked to the sky. To be a proud warrior of the sea, that's my dream. You see, ever since my mom died a little after my dad left, I still respected him because he took on his dream. I want to be just like him. I hope I can also meet my old man someday, too, he said. Lucy smiled and she took off somewhere else. A little while later, she bought back 4 mugs of sake. A toast, to our newest member, and to our ship, the Going Merry. She cheered. Her crewmates smiled and they raised their mugs. To Usopp and the Going Merry. Chapter 7, The Swordsman's Past in the Life of a Culinary Genius. Holy cow, this place looks even cooler on the inside, exclaimed Lucy as she ran around the inside of the Going Merry. The ship had only sailed for a while and Lucy was already looking through everything inside it. She had already seen meeting room, lounge, helm, the storage room that was loaded with cannonballs and other supplies, the anchor room, the bathroom, the kitchen that was loaded with food that would last them years, or in Lucy's case, probably a couple of months, the upper deck with a small grass area, the crow's nest, 2 cannons at the bow and stern, and her favorite seat, the Going Mary's figurehead. Lucy jogged to the lower decks and she entered the bedroom hallway. Each door had a nameplate with her and her crewmate's name on it. She first walked into her own room and she opened the door. Even though Kaya had known the pirates for 3 days, she had somehow gotten the perfect designs of everyone's room, based on everyone's personality. Lucy's room consisted of a queen-size bed with dark red sheets. There was also a desk, a chest to hold Lucy's spare clothes, a hook rack for her straw hat, a closet, a red carpet, a small red couch, and a porthole. With a grin, Lucy closed her door and she walked over to Nami's room, which was right next to her own. Lucy opened the door and saw Nami sitting on her light orange sheeted bed, counting a lot of berry. Her room had some similar things like Lucy's room, only the things were a light orange and there was a vanity mirror, a small map of a place Lucy never heard of, a fluffy couch, and a small radio. Nami noticed Lucy and she returned to counting her coins. "I'm busy checking my berries, Lucy. Go play with Usopp or bother Zoro or something," said the master thief without looking up. With a big sigh, Lucy closed Nami's door and she walked to the next room down the hall, Usopp's room. The pirate who would be queen opened the door and she looked around the sniper's room. Everything in the room was a sand yellow. There was a king-size bed, a couch, a radio, a barrel that had Usopp's shooting stones and caltrops, a yellow rug, a desk, and art supplies. Usopp was placing a picture of him and Kaya on the desk when Lucy entered his room. "Hey, Lucy, ya need something?" asked Usopp. "Nah, just saying, hi." "Hey, I didn't know you were into drawing," said Lucy, pointing at the art supplies. Usopp nodded. "I am. I happen to be the best at drawing, sculpturing, painting, and the like," said the sharpshooter proudly. Lucy grinned. "Really? Cool. Then can you make our pirate flag right now?" asked the teen. Usopp nodded. "Sure, why not? What do you want it to look like?" asked the other teen as he grabbed a white sail, a pencil, a sheet of paper, and paints from his art supplies. He handed the pencil and paper to his captain. Lucy thought for a moment before doing a quick sketch. She handed her work to her crewmate. Usopp looked at the crudely drawn design before sweat dropping and nodding. "Okay, I get your design. I'll get on it, so let me work, please," said the curly-haired teen as he led out of his room and he shut the door. Lucy placed her hands behind her head and she walked over to the room across Usopp's room, Zoro's room. Lucy could hear snoring and the girl slowly opened the door. Zoro's room looked more better than everyone else's. Zoro's room had things like Usopp's, only his bed was bigger with dark green sheets. There were also weights and a punching bag by a corner. The snores came from a snoozing Zoro on the giant, green bed. He was sprawled on his back with his mouth opened and his tongue laying out. His 3 katanas were right at his side. His haramaki was untied from his waist. Lucy giggled and she was about to leave when she heard Zoro say in a whispering voice, "Kuina." Lucy stopped her tracks and she spun around, raising an eyebrow at Zoro. Who was Kuina? The dark-eyed swordsman's face had a look of guilt and he was shaking slightly. Lucy's face features softened and she walked slowly over to Zoro. She had never seen him like this. "It looks like he's having a nightmare." How can I know? I'll just do what Big Bro did to wake me up," thought the pirate with a snap of her fingers. The she-captain crawled onto the bed and she carefully sat her knees on either side of Zoro's hips. Her hands rested on Zoro's t-shirt-clad abs and her fingers began to dance and twirl on Zoro's stomach. Zoro made a grunt and a few cough noises. Lucy kicked it up a notch and she tickled near Zoro's lower stomach. That woke up Zoro. "Ha ha ha, what is ha ha ha? Stop. Ha ha ha." Lucy started laughing herself, having fun with the laughing Zoro beneath her fingertips. Her wrists were sudden grabbed and she and Zoro's position were switched. Zoro now loomed over his captain, red in the face and his breath trying to calm down. Lucy was still giggling and her eyes danced with happiness. What was that for, Lucy?" panted Zoro. Lucy continued to laugh. "Just trying to get you to wake up, Zoro. You looked like you were having a nightmare," she giggled. Zoro cocked his eyebrow, wondering what she meant. Lucy began shift on her back. "Hey, Zoro, could you let go of me? I feel squished," said the female captain. Zoro blinked again before noticing the position they were in. Zoro's legs straddled his captain's hips and his strong hands held the girl's wrist above her head. The captain's straw hat fell off her head and Lucy's messy hair pulled around her head, almost resembling a black halo. The bottom buttons of her vest were opened and they revealed the girl's flat, tan stomach. Zoro flushed slightly and he scrambled off the girl in the blink of an eye. Lucy sat up and she fastened back her bottom buttons and she picked her hat off the floor. Once her hat was on her head, Lucy asked, "So, who's Kuina?" Zoro's mouth formed a thin line and his forest green eyes suddenly filled with melancholy. A depressing air surrounded him and Zoro turned his head away. "It's no one. Forget it," he said, his voice hinting sadness. Lucy shook her head. Nothing is always a something and no one is always a someone, Zoro. I can tell that this Kuina person is more than just a no one. Please tell me, said the onyx-eyed girl. She suddenly took Zoro's hands in hers and she gave a soft smile. Please, she asked, her voice as soft as her smile. Zoro felt a sudden warmth in his heart as his eyes began to lose themselves in Lucy's. He felt like he could trust this girl with a piece of his past. Okay, I'll tell you, he said. He slowly and reluctantly took his hands out of Lucy's soft and warm ones and he picked up his katanas, many memories passing through his head in an instant. Kuina was a girl I knew. A girl who wanted to be the world's greatest swordsman. She was a bossy, goody-goody, know-it-all, and overall tomboy who somehow became my best friend. When we first met, we didn't get along. As a kid, it was my dream to become the world's greatest swordsman. I could beat most adults and I was known a bit. Only, I couldn't beat Kuina. She had trained with swords her whole life. After one fight, I felt that I had enough. So one night, I challenged her to a sword fight, with real swords. But, I couldn't win that either. Zoro suddenly looked embarrassed and his voice trailed off. What? You what? Asked Lucy, placing a hand on Zoro's resting hand. Zoro stared at the smaller hand before continuing. I cried a bit and I told her my dream. She said she had the same dream but, she also said she could never attain it, said the samurai. Why couldn't she? Asked Lucy. Her father said that she couldn't have her dream because she was a girl. And Kuina said as she grew older, she would eventually grow weaker as she became more and more like a girl. I got mad then. It sounded like she was quitting. So I told her that one day, I would beat her because I would grow stronger, not because she was a girl. Then, we made a promise. We would see which one of us would become the world's greatest swordsman first. After that, everything seemed to be going right. She and I trained in our own ways and we each got stronger and stronger. But then, that happened. Zoro frowned again and he looked at his lap. What happened? Asked Lucy, interested as ever. Zoro's shoulders shook slightly and his breathing went shallow. One day that seemed like every other day, I was training as hard as I usually did. 3 boys from Kuina's dad's sword dojo came. They looked like they had been crying. I asked what happened. They said that Kuina died after falling down a flight of stairs, whispered Zoro. Lucy took an intake of breath. Zoro's shoulders shook more and he suddenly felt his eyes welled up. He then shut his eyes tightly. He refused to cry. He refused to cry in front of Lucy. He swallowed, trying to hydrate his dry throat. After her funeral, I decided to continue my dream. For the both of us. So, I went to her father, and I asked for Kuina's katana. The Wado Ikimonji. The very katana I hold in my hand, said Zoro as he opened his eyes again and he picked up his one katana with its white hilt. He pulled the katana out of its hilt and he stared at its magnificent blade. This katana means the world to me. If I ever lost or broke it, it would feel like losing a part of me. The part that holds mine and Kuina's times together. It reminds me of my goal no. It reminds me of my promise that I will fight for. Till my last breath. Lucy stared at the stainless steel of Zoro's treasured item, then at Zoro himself. She gave a smile and said, I'm glad that you said that, Zoro. Why is that? Asked Zoro. Lucy's hand held Zoro's and she gave it a light squeeze. Because I know that you will help me to reach my dream. Just like I'll help with yours and Kuina's. You and I are best friends, too, right? She asked. Zoro stared at their entwined hands, then to the black irises of his captain. With a half smile, Zoro gave a firm nod. Yeah, Lucy, I promise, he said. Lucy grinned and her hands slipped around Zoro's neck and she gave him a big hug, her head nuzzling at his neck. Zoro blushed a bit and his heart sped up. Then, he slowly placed his arms around Lucy's waist, hugging her back. Lucy pressed her cheek against Zoro's neck and she inhaled, smelling Zoro's musky and pine scent. Zoro's head rested on the captain's soft, mop of raven black hair. Her head fit into Zoro's neck like a puzzle piece. Right now, it seemed like no one and nothing could break them apart. Hey, Lucy, I'm finished with the ship's flag. I also got the sail and the crow's nest flag. You wanna see it or what? Lucy jumped out of Zoro's arms and she grinned. I'm coming. Come on, Zoro. Let's go see it. Come on, come on, come on, cheered the hyperactive captain as she raced out of the swordsman's room. Zoro blinked before chuckling and shaking his head. He attached his katanas to his haramaki and he followed his overexcited friend. Wow, you did an awesome job, Usopp. The sail is exactly how I wanted it to be, exclaimed Lucy as she grinned at the sail Usopp made. It was a classic Jolly Roger with a grinning face and a straw hat on top of the pirate's skull. The exact design was on the main sail of the ship and on the crow's nest flag. The whole crew was on the deck and they were admiring Usopp's work. Though the Jolly Roger was simple, it looked significant. Lucy suddenly raced to the upper deck and she threw a fist in the air. Okay, we have 4 members of this crew, a Jolly Roger, and a ship. We should start getting to some business, she called. Like what? Asked Usopp. Lucy pointed to the cannon at the front of the ship. Let's practice using our cannon. You never know when we might need it, said the she captain. Nami gave a nod. You're in luck. There's a coast around here we can use as a target field. Just aim the cannon west, said the navigator. Lucy smiled. Cool. Come on, Usopp, let's test it out, said the teen as she and the other teen walked over to the cannon. After a few shots here and there, Usopp had proven to be quite the ame. That was cool, Usopp. Okay, for now on, you're the sniper, said Lucy as the crew sat at the lounge of the ship. Fine, but if you screw up, I'm the captain. Deal? Asked the ship's sniper with his hand held out. Lucy laughed and she shook her friend's hand. There was a sudden sound of commotion on the deck and Lucy was the first to get up and check it out. A guy with an impressive sword was on the deck. He had black hair and he wore dark blue glasses. On his cheek was a strange Japanese tattoo. He looked around the deck and yelled, "All right, pirates. Come out or I'll attack you without mercy." Lucy came running out and she looked down at the man. "Hey, what the hell? Who are you?" asked the raven-haired girl. "Shut it, brat. Who I am is none of your damn concern," yelled the man as he charged at her and he struck his sword. Lucy yelped as she jumped and dodged the man's attack. The man landed on his feet and he gritted his teeth. "Damn you, you'll pay for killing my partner," he yelled as he attacked Lucy again. He missed the girl just by a hair. "Look, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Just quit messing with our ship," yelled the pirate teen as she stretched her arms and grabbed the man, flipping him with a loud thud. Zoro came out and he recognized the guy. "Johnny, is that you?" he asked. The man called Johnny sat up and his jaw dropped when he saw Zoro. "Whoa, big bro Zo, what the hell are you doing here?" asked Johnny. Lucy tilted her head in confusion. Just what the hell was going on here? Zoro walked onto the deck and he arched a brow. "What are you doing here, Johnny?" he asked. Johnny sat on his knees. "Better yet, what are you doing here, big bro Zo? Why are you on this pirate ship?" asked the attacker. "Ah, don't worry about that. Say, is Yosaku with you?" asked the would-be greatest swordsman. Johnny stood on his feet. "Yeah, but he's seriously hurt. Come look," said the man as he led Zoro to the side of starboard of the ship and he looked over. Zoro did the same. A man was laid on his back on a small boat. He had extremely short gray hair and he wasn't looking so good. He was bleeding from his mouth and stomach and he looked as pale as a ghost. The crew immediately pulled his up and they laid Yosaku on a mat. "How did this happen?" asked Zoro, a hint of fear in his eyes as he watched Yosaku's breathing go into sharp intakes. Johnny had tears running down his eyes. I don't know. One day, he's all fine and go happy. But the next, his teeth are falling out and he started going all pale and he's bleeding. We stopped at an island to rest when a cannonball came through the air," sobbed the man. Lucy and Usopp gasped, realizing that it was probably their cannonball they shot. Lucy bowed to the ground. "We're so sorry. We didn't even know. We swear," she cried as she looked honestly at Johnny with tears at her eyes. Johnny looked at her eyes and thought, "Holy shit. She's really cute." He tried to force a smile. Don't worry. Accidents happen, right? But it still doesn't help with Yosaku, though," he said as he started at his hard-breathing friend. "Give it to me straight, big bro Zo. He's not gonna die, right?" asked Johnny, nearly pleading. Zoro flinched and he looked away, feeling a sick twist of his guts. Nami suddenly walked over and she looked over Yosaku. She then rolled her eyes. "You people, I swear. Lucy, Usopp, there are some limes we have stocked in the kitchen. Go grab them, now," said the brown-eyed girl. The two 17-year-olds nodded and they raced to the kitchen and back, 2 barrels of limes in their hands. Nami told them to squeeze the limes over Yosaku's mouth and let him drink the juice. The two did as they were told. "He has scurvy. Don't worry, he's not gonna die," said Nami in a matter-of-fact tone. "Ya mean it? Cool. Thanks, big sis," praised Johnny. Nami rolled her eyes again. "No need for thanks. This is one of the most common diseases in the world. He must have gotten it due to lack of vitamin C," she said. Yosaku started twitching and groaning a bit. Lucy tilted his head up and she squeezed a little of lime juice into his mouth. "Here you go. Come on, please wake up." "I'm really sorry, I really am," said the female captain with a worried look. Yosaku's eyes opened slowly and he swore he saw the most beautiful girl in the world. "Whoa, who's this cutie?" he thought. He suddenly jumped in the air and he and Johnny started happy dancing. They then stopped and smiled at the crew. "Allow us to introduce ourselves. We are Johnny and Yosaku, the best bounty hunters of all these seas. Big bro Zo used to be one of us before he decided to go solo," said Johnny. Zoro smirked and he shook hands with Johnny. Yosaku suddenly fainted again. Well, looks like the limes didn't work that long. It was now nighttime and the crew and Johnny were at the ship's lounge, having dinner. Yosaku was resting in one of the spare rooms. As everyone ate, Nami was thinking and talking. "Listen, guys, we need to ration and make sure we have the proper nutrition for this trip. So that way, none of us will get any fatal disease," she said. "So basically, we need someone who would know stuff on food, right?" asked Usopp as he took a sip of his water. Nami nodded and Lucy took a bite out of her bread. So that means we need a cook, she said. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. Good thinking, Lucy, complimented Usopp. Lucy gave a grin. Right, so, where should we head off to find our cook? Asked the she-pirate. Johnny waved his hand. I have a suggestion, little sis Lou. It's close to the Grand Line and, Johnny gave a knowing smirk at Zoro. A certain, hawk-eyed, man is close by, too, he said. Zoro gave a determined grin. Lucy stood up. Okay, where to? She asked. Johnny gave another smirk. Set a course northeast. We're going to the sea Reserwant. Barati, yelled Johnny the next morning as the ship sailed close to a huge boat that looked like a giant koi fish. Wow, this is really cool. Thanks for telling about this, big bro John, exclaimed Lucy. Johnny turned red slightly. Hey, it's nothing, little sis Lou, he stuttered. He suddenly noticed a giant marine ship passing by and he suddenly hid. Lucy and the crew noticed it, too. Ah, great, just what we need. Marines, muttered Zoro. Maybe they won't notice us. After all, we're just a ship passing through. What are they gonna do? Asked Usopp. Lucy nodded in agreement. He was right, what were they going to do? Blast them out of the sea. And somehow, out of a series of weird happenings, Lucy found herself being dragged to a room by two men in white uniforms. When the Marines had attacked the Going Merry, Lucy had sent the attack flying back, only to ruin a part of the Barati. Lucy was shoved into the room and she now sat in front of a man with straw-colored hair and light gray eyes. He wore an expensive-looking chef uniform. The oddest things about him was that his mustache was braided and that he had peg leg. He looked very mad. Sir, this young lady right here is the one who started the who fiasco, said one of the men. The blonde man looked at Lucy and the girl bowed to the floor. I'm really sorry. It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it on purpose. I really am sorry, apologized the raven-haired girl. She then noticed his wooden leg and she gasped. Oh God, your leg, she cried in dismay. The man whacked her in the head. You brat, don't be stupid. You didn't get my leg, muttered the man. Lucy stopped crying and she looked at the ground. The man looked at his damaged roof. You did some serious damage around here. For that, you have a big payment to pay, he said. Lucy scratched the back of her neck. I won't ask you to cut me some slack, but you have to know something, I'm flat out broke, she said. The man gave a knowing look. Very well, you'll just have to work for me. Unpaid, for a whole year, he said. Lucy grinned and nodded. Okay, I'll work for you for a whole year. Wait, a whole year? No way. Meanwhile, right in the grand room of the Barati, a waiter walked over to a table with a bottle of wine and he poured the drink to the two customers he was serving. He stood by the two in case they needed anything else. The two people were a man and a woman. The woman was beautiful with pale blonde hair and the man had purplish-pinkish hair and he wore iron knuckles. The two clinked their glasses and they drank. The man paused and he held his hand up slightly. This taste, there's no doubting it. It's cider yet grape-like taste. It is none other than the world-renowned crème de pomme de raisin, the cream of the grapes and apples. Correct, waiter, asked the man to the waiter. The waiter slammed down the wine bottle with the table shaking a bit. No, sir, this is the crème de fraise du ananas. The cream of strawberries and pineapples. An honest mistake, said the man as he walked away. He suddenly stopped and he turned his head a bit, one ocean blue eye on the iron-fingered man. And sir, my name is Sanji, the sous chef of this ship. All the other waiters hightailed it a long time ago. Enjoy your meal. The soup tastes best when hot, said the man as he walked away, a trail of the smoke of his cigarette wisped in the air as he left. People began snickering as the man's jaw went tight. That bastard, how dare he embarrass me in front of my date. He shall pay, thought the man angrily. A bug suddenly crawled by and the man stepped on it. He smirked and he clapped his hands 2 times. Hey, waiter, why is there a bug in my soup? He called. Sanji walked back and he raised a curled eyebrow. He then smirked knowingly. Well, sir, it seems very obvious. I believe he is taking a swim. And it looks like he's drowning as well, he said coolly. Everyone began laughing at Sanji's joke. The man suddenly slammed down his food with white-hot anger. Sanji's look flattened and he had a sudden look in his eye. That soup, it took 3 days to prepare and we shipped in the most expensive spices in the world, just for a sick piece of shit like you, he muttered. The man snarled and he threw a punch with his iron knuckles. Sanji easily countered it. It didn't take long for the fight to involve blood. Just then, Nami, Zoro, and Usopp walked into the restaurant, just as the fight was halfway through. Sanji, what the hell are you doing? That guy is Marine Lieutenant. Full body. Why are you fighting him? Yelled a man who walked over. He was bald with his scalp painted light blue and he had a muscular build. Sanji clenched his teeth. Shit like this man, don't deserve to taste food as good as ours, he muttered. Before the other guy said anything else, another man suddenly walked in. His hair was unkempt and granite gray and there was a gash at the side of his head. He walked in, sat in a chair, and he placed his feet on the table. Bring me some food, now, he said. Everyone stood frozen in their spots, wondering just who the heck this guy was. And if things didn't get any weirder than they already have, they just did. Lucy and the man she was with came walking down the steps. Everyone gasped, for they saw the most cutest sight they seen. Lucy was wearing a dark blue waitress uniform. The buttons were white and shiny and the lace was done in a doily style. Her petticoat reached her knees and it was ruffled at the hem. Her apron was cream white and tied in the back with a bow. She also wore white, knee-high socks, black strapped shoes, and a white, frilly headband. Held in her hands was her straw hat. She didn't look like she was enjoying wearing the outfit. Sanji looked at her and hearts formed in his eyes. "Hello, cute waitress," he thought as he drooled a bit. "What's going on here?" asked the man who was next to Lucy. The man with the bleeding gash waved his hand. "All I want is some food," he said. The blonde man raised an eyebrow and he gestured Sanji over. "Sanji, go and make some food. I don't know what the hell is going on, but a customer is a customer. As for you," the man glared at Full Body. "Get out of my restaurant before I kick your ass into next year," he muttered. Full Body glared and he retreated out of the sea restaurant. The man turned to Lucy. "Young lady, escort this man outside. He needs to eat outside," he said. Lucy shrugged and she walked over to the bleeding man. She helped him on his feet and she led him outside. The man laid on the ground while Lucy sat next to him. A while later, Sanji came out with a steaming plate of rice and shrimp. "Here, eat up," said the blonde as he placed the food down and he sat next to Lucy. He gave her a sly smile. "Say, what's your name, young lady?" he asked. Lucy smiled. "I'm Lucy. That big guy back there is making me work for him and he made me put on this outfit. I wish he let me wear my vest, shorts, and hat," she said. Sanji arched his eyebrow. "Well, if you ask me, you look very adorable in this," he cooed. Lucy stuck out her tongue. "Nah, I still want my regular clothes," she said as she spun her hat on her finger. Sanji chuckled. "Cute, innocent, tomboyish, I'm starting to like my day today," thought the sous chef with a grin. The two suddenly heard sobbing and they turned to see the man with a gash crying and eating his food. I'm sorry for crying. This food is the best I've ever had in my life. I was gonna starve. Thank you, thank you so much," cried the man as he ate. Sanji blew cigarette smoke. "Don't thank me, thank Zeph. He's the one who told me to feed ya." "But, even if he didn't tell me to feed ya, I still would have," said the cook. Lucy gave a smile. "Wow, you really are a cool chef and guy, aren't ya?" she asked. Sanji grinned. "But of course, Miss Lucy, I always help those who are in need of a meal," he said. "I'm glad to hear that. 'Cause I'm in need of a chef. Wanna join me?" she asked. Sanji raised his curled brow. "Huh?" he asked. "Ya see, I'm a pirate captain and I'm looking for a chef to join my crew," explained Lucy. "I see," said Sanji. Lucy played with the hem of her petticoat. "This place means a lot to you, doesn't it? Like, how you beat up that weirdo," she said. Sanji nodded. "Yeah, I like it here, just as much as Zeph does. He used to work for pirates before even owning this place. He takes pride in letting customers of all kinds coming to eat his food. Pirates included. That's pretty much why all the waiters left," said the blonde. Lucy snapped her fist. "Ah, so that's why the old guy wants me to work for him for a whole year. Oh yeah, so are you joining my crew or what?" asked the raven-haired girl. Sanji shook his head. "Sorry. As much as I would love to join a beautiful lady like yourself, Miss Lucy, I cannot join your crew. I must stay here," he said. Lucy pouted. "Well, I'm sorry, too. I'm gonna have to decline your decline," she said. Sanji had to admit, this was both cute yet annoying at the same time. "Pardon me," the two tuned to the guy with the gash on his head. The wound no longer bled. "Forgive me, but my name is Jin and I am a part of Don Krieg's pirate crew." "You say you are pirate captain. Tell me, what is it you are searching for?" asked Jin. Lucy gave her signature grin. "That's easy. I'm looking for the One Piece. And pretty soon, I'm gonna be searching for it in the Grand Line," she said. Jin frowned. "Listen, you seem like a good girl, so I'll tell you this now, the Grand Line is a place you want to avoid. If you ask me, you should be exploring other parts of the seas before heading to the Grand Line. I'll tell you, that place is like a hell on the seas," said Jin. "You know, for a members of Don Krieg's crew, you're a wimp," said Sanji. Lucy tilted her head. Who is Don Krieg? Her question was unfortunately unanswered, since Jin had to leave. He thanked Sanji for feeding him and Sanji showed his respect for Jin by throwing the plate Jin ate off into the sea, hiding the evidence that Jin was ever there. Jin thanked him once more as his ship sailed far and far into the sea. Sanji, waiter girl, back to work. The two saw Chef Zeph outside looking impatient. Sanji puffed out cigarette smoke. "Come on, Miss Lucy, let's not keep the old man waiting," he said. Lucy nodded. Things seemed like they were going normal, right? "Ha ha ha, yeah right." Lucy yawned and she stretched her arms over her head as she walked into the main hall of the Bharati. She had been working hard now and now she was serving tables. "Man, I feel so tired. I wonder if Kobe had to deal with stuff like this. She asked herself. Hey, waitress, so you're gonna work here for a year, huh? Lucy turned and she saw Nami, Zoro, and Usopp sitting at a table with the most fantastic food she had seen in her life. Hey, no fair, you guys are eating this cool food without me. That's just mean, said Lucy as she walked over and pouted. Zoro tossed her the roll he was going to eat. Here, quit your winning, he said. Lucy grinned. Thanks, Zoro, she said as she took a bite out of the roll. Humph, cute, thought Zoro smugly. He had to admit, Lucy looked very adorable in that waitress outfit. And her hair was combed a bit to make it have a cute sheen. And her tan legs with those frilly socks. Zoro blushed and he shook his head of those thoughts. There was suddenly a gush of wind and Sanji appeared with a rose in front of Nami. My dear angel of the sea, you have stolen my heart with your gorgeous looks. If becoming a pirate is what it takes to be at your side, then I would join in a heartbeat. But there is unfortunately an obstacle, said Sanji with hearts in her eyes. Nami raised her eyebrow, along with the others. Then why don't you go with them, Sanji? I am in no longer need of your help, said Chef Zeph from the kitchen doorway. Sanji spun around and glared. What do you mean, old man? I'm the sous chef around here. You need me here, said Sanji. Chef Zeph rolled his eyes. To hell if I do. I don't need a brat like you. Go and be a pirate, said the chef as he left in a huff. Sanji sighed and he turned back to Nami. My apologize, my dear. Here, a fruit parfait, said the chef as he served his food to Nami, who giggled. Hey, what about the rest of us? Asked Usopp. You'll have to pay for your food. Unlike this beautiful miss. Come along, Miss Lucy. We need to get back to work, said Sanji. Usopp snarled while Enma ate while Zoro just drank his drink while Lucy followed Sanji to the kitchen. Okay, things had to get to normal right now, right? Wrong. Things felt quiet. So quiet, it felt very awkward. Okay, let's explain the situation first, shall we? It was 4 days after Lucy had become a waitress. Things were looking as normal as things could when many ships attacked the Bharati. It was led by Don Krieg, Jin's captain. He demanded food for his crew, which Chef Zeph had no choice but to serve. A fight also broke out and then, Jin suddenly came, telling everyone to stop the fighting. That's when everything got quiet. Lucy and he crew, the chefs, everyone, was silent. Jin was breathing heavily and he looked like he was in a lot of pain. I'm sorry, Chef Sanji. I never thought it would turn out like this, gasped Jin tiredly. There is no need for apologies. Everyone did what they thought was right, said Chef Zeph. Everyone stared at him. I know what many of you are thinking. I sound like I'm siding with Sanji. That I accept these pirates I see before me. Well, none of you seem to grasp what Sanji and I see. For what we see, is what we only know, he said. Everyone remained silent until Lucy remembered something. Say, Jin, you said that we had some things to worry about if we ever go to the Grand Line. What did you mean? She asked. Jin suddenly looked frightened and he started shaking. Our ships, all those years ago. At least 50 of them, were destroyed by one man, he whispered. Everyone gasped. He was kidding, right? That man, no, that monster. We barely made it out alive. It all seems like some horrible and terrible nightmare. His eyes, sharp and golden as a hawk's. It was like he was the devil himself, whispered Jin in a scared tone. Zoro suddenly gripped his katanas and his irises became small. He's talking about, he couldn't bring himself to even think the words. Dracula, hawk eyes, Mahawk, whispered Zoro. You know him or something, Zoro? Asked Lucy. Zoro nodded. Yeah, he's the guy I'm looking for. The man I am destined to face, he said. Sanji rolled his eyes. Yeah right, it's morons like you guys who get themselves killed, he muttered. Zoro shot him dagger-like eyes. Say what you want, but it won't stop me from facing hawk eyes. I decided a long time ago I would make my own ascension. Till I became the world's greatest swordsman, he said. Lucy grinned. Yeah, that's the same for me. I won't stop till I find the One Piece and become queen of the pirates, she cheered. Yeah, same here. I want to live the life of a great warrior of the sea. Just like my dad, cheered Usopp. Sanji stared at them with an off glance. There was sudden battle cries and the chefs and crew boy ready. They're coming, muttered Zoro. Everyone looked to the open door. Everyone flinched and the whole boat started swaying violently. What the heck was that? Exclaimed Lucy as she ran outside. Zoro and Usopp followed her as well. They saw Don Krieg's main ship being destroyed. It was sliced into pieces. They heard sudden shouts and the three saw it was Yosaku and Johnny. They told them that Nami had stolen the ship, with everything in it. They couldn't believe it. Enma wouldn't do something like that, right? Zoro suddenly noticed that everyone was staring in one destination and he did the same. He gasped, not believing what he was seeing. A boat was sailing toward them. It was shaped like an altar and candles with green fire were on it. The man sitting on the boat had shadow black hair and golden colored eyes. He wore a red and bulk coat with an open vest. On his head was a big hat with a green fluff. Behind his back was something that looked like a Gaint cross. Zoro shook his head as his heart began to beat fast. No way, it's him, Hawk Eyes. Chapter 8, Swordsman Showdown. Zoro could have sworn he felt his heart leaping out of his throat. There he was, the man who was known as the world's greatest swordsman sitting on his coffin-like boat, slowly sailing towards Don Krieg's destroyed ship. The dark green-eyed samurai gulped and he tried to find his breath. Lucy noticed Zoro's sudden trembling form. She looked where Zoro was looking. Hey, Zoro, who's that? She asked. Zoro clenched his fist. That's the man I've been looking for. People call him Hawk Eyes, Mihawk, whispered the three-sword-wielding man. Lucy's face went neutral and she lowered her head slightly. So that's Mihawk, she muttered, her voice sounding a bit serious. Zoro gave a nod. Yeah, he's known as the world's greatest swordsman, he said. Zoro suddenly gave a smirk. Huh, I never thought this day would come so soon. It's time to fulfill my promise, thought the green-haired swordsman. Mihawk's boat came to a stop and he surveyed the area with his golden eyes. Zoro stepped up and he grasped the handles of his katanas. Your sword is quite impressive. To do damage such as this, said Zoro as he gestured to the ship's remains. Mihawk folded his hands on his lap. Perhaps, he said curtly. Zoro gave another smirk and he curled his fingers around the Wado Ikimonji. So it's true, you are the world's greatest swordsman. I set sail for one reason and one reason only, to meet you, said the swordsman as he untied the bandana of his arm. Mihawk arched a brow. And what is your goal? He asked. Zoro tied his bandana around his head and he gave a determined grin. To beat you, he said. Mihawk gave a smirk. How foolish, he said, taunt wavering in his voice. Zoro pulled out his prized katana and he gave a smirk. It had been a while since he had a good showdown. Mihawk suddenly appeared on the same remains of wood Zoro stood on. If you are, in fact, a confident swordsman, then you should see the disparity in our abilities before we cross swords. I must ask you why you challenged me. Could it be your courage? Or simply your ignorance? Asked Mihawk. Zoro gave a sharp laugh. My ambition drives me. Also, I made a promise that I intend to keep, he said as he clenched his prized possession between his teeth, along with his two other weapons in his hands. Go, big bro Zo. Show him what for, cheered Johnny. Yeah, give him a medal to the medal, yelled Yosaku. Man, this is gonna be something. Huh, Lucy, asked Usopp, noticing that his captain had gone suddenly quiet. The would-be queen had her arms crossed and she was looking intently at the two swordsmen, her eyes not daring to move to another location. You may be well known in the East Blue, however, it means nothing at all to me. That sea is the weakest out of the four, said Mihawk as he pulled off the cross he was wearing around his neck and he revealed it to be a small dagger. He gave a disappointed look. Pity, I have no smaller swords than this to defeat such a weak opponent as you, he mocked. Zoro's teeth clenched on his katana. I had it with this damn attitude of yours, he yelled as he charged at the black-haired swordsman. Mihawk didn't even move. You have no idea who you were up against, he said bluntly. Zoro gave a slash with his swords. Onigiri, he yelled as his sword slashed. Everyone gasped when they saw Mihawk's small dagger easily block the three blades. Zoro's eyes widened in surprise. How? He asked through his teeth. I don't get it. How could he have just deflected my katanas with just a pocket knife? He can't be this strong, can he? No, I will not give up. I made a promise and I plan to keep it, thought the swordsman as he slashed at Mihawk with full fury. Everyone was watching with amazement. It seemed that no matter how hard he tried, Zoro's three katanas could not pass by Mihawk. Mihawk gave one simple slash and he hit Zoro square in the jaw. Zoro staggered and he tried to suppress the pain in his jaw. He staggered to Mihawk and he tried to attack but, he staggered in another direction, his vision going slightly hazy. He suddenly fell to his back and he panted hard. Sweat covered every inch of his body and he could feel every muscle in his body tighten in pain. Mihawk frowned. Tell me, is this all the power you have? Answer me, weakling, yelled the golden-eyed man. How dare you talk to Big Brozo like that? Yelled Yosaku, pulling out his sword. Johnny did the same. Yeah, you'll pay for calling him a weakling, yelled the bounty hunter as he and his partner leapt to fight. Wait, guys, don't get in the way, yelled Lucy as she grabbed both men with her stretching powers and pulled them to the Barati. Lucy gave them one of her rare, serious looks. This is Zoro's battle, not yours. Zoro can do this by himself. Do not help. Captain's orders, yelled the black-haired pirate. Usopp and Sanji blinked. Lucy was suddenly acting serious and confident in Zoro. It seemed that she really trusted Zoro to win. Zoro heard Lucy's orders and he climbed back to his feet, a sudden ambition flowing in his veins. I refuse to lose, he yelled. Mihawk looked unfazed. The air suddenly went bright as Zoro angled his two handheld katanas to his back, meeting their blades with the blade held in his teeth. With a determined glare, Zoro called, Tiger. The world's greatest swordsman. Sounds pretty cool. The queen of the pirates would have no less on her crew. Trap, yelled Zoro as he charged at Mihawk. There was a disgusting rip of flesh. Everyone froze with fear. Mihawk had struck his dagger right near Zoro's heart. Blood poured from his wound and the same crimson-red liquid came out of Zoro's mouth. Yet, the green-haired swordsman did not move. He didn't even show any signs of pain. "You're defeated. Yet you still stand. Why is that?" asked Hawkeye's. "I don't know. I choose to remain my ground. If I just ran, then that would only break the promises I made. I would lose the honor I had gained. Without that honor, I would have nothing," muttered Zoro. Mihawk scowled. "That's what defeat is," he muttered. Zoro gave a short, breathy laugh. "Hey, then I won't accept defeat. If defeat lies ahead for me, then I'd sooner die," he said. Mihawk felt a bit impressed. A strong heart indeed. He chooses death before defeat, he thought as he pulled out his dagger. Zoro gave a grunt of pain. Mihawk took a step back. "Sir, state your name," he commanded. Zoro held his katanas in front of him, one with the blade pointing in the air and the other pointed down, the handles of the weapons meeting. "I am Roronoa Zoro," he said with sheer confidence. Mihawk reached behind his back and he pulled out the cross on his back, revealing it to be a giant, black sword. "I'll be sure to remember that name. No one with skills such as yours has come this far. To defeat you, I will use the world's strongest black sword," said Hawkeye. "I appreciate it," said Zoro with a smirk. "This is it. The day I become the world's greatest swordsman," thought the green-eyed samurai as he rotated his two katanas in his hands. Everyone held their breath. He couldn't be using the three swords style secret technique, 3,000 worlds, yelled the swordsman as he charged at Mihawk with lightning speed. Mihawk charged with the same speed and he met Zoro halfway. As the two stopped, Zoro's two katanas sliced into pieces and a deep, long gash slashed at Zoro's ribcage. The fatal wound burst with blood and Zoro dropped on one knee. So this is the power of the world's greatest swordsman. This is the true meaning of defeat, thought Zoro as he took the Wado Ikimonji out of his mouth and he slipped it into its sheath. He then stood up, turned to Mihawk, and held his arms out. Mihawk raised his eyebrow. He knew the meaning of this gesture. "But why?" he asked. Zoro gave an amused smirk. "Scars on the back are a swordsman's shame," he said. Mihawk met his smirk and he gave a sword again swing, slicing at Zoro's chest and giving him a deadly wound. Blood splattered everywhere. "Zoorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr that. As Zoro fell back, nearly everyone gave and exclaimed in shock. You really shouldn't rush these things, young man. Mihawk, Zoro, Usopp, Big Bro, Johnny and Yosaku. No, Lucy, you dumb ass. Why choose death? Fight back, Sanji. Zoro heard none of these voices as his body fell into the water with a mighty splash. As his body sank, his senses went dark. Johnny and Yosaku jumped into the water, hoping to save their friend in time. Lucy's widened and angered eyes looked straight to the ocean and her hands gripped the railing, her fingers digging into the wood. Her breathing grew heavy and anger stirred in her heart. No, no, Zoro can't be dead. He just can't be, she thought as tears welled up in her eyes. Zoro was her first mate, her best friend. He could not just die. It wasn't fair. Her black eyes shot angrily at Mihawk and she let out a scream of anger. She pulled back her arm and she threw a flying punch at the world's greatest swordsman. She flew with her punch with her eyes filled with tears and white-hot anger. Mihawk easily dodged the girl's attack and Lucy landed on her bending knees. What's with the sudden attack, young lady? Was that man your lover? Asked Mihawk. Lucy stood to her feet and she turned to the golden-eyed swordsman. Her hat fell off her head slowly. The straw hat flew in the air before Usopp caught it when it was close to him. No, you know nothing, whispered Lucy in a dead tone. Mihawk quirked his eyebrow. Where had he seen this familiar stance before? Lucy looked up at him, her onyx eyes swirling with seriousness. You destroyed Zoro's promise to his best friend. He promised her he would become the world's greatest swordsman after her death. And you just killed him. I'll never forgive you, ever. She screamed as she suddenly fell to her knees and cried into her hands with fresh, warm tears running down her cheeks. Everyone flinched at the young captain's outburst. Lucy gave hiccups and sobs, images of Zoro passing her mind. Zoro, I'm sorry, I promised you that if you didn't become the world's greatest swordsman, then I would have to apologize personally. But now I can't. Lucy mentally screamed as she continued to cry. Unknown to everyone above the surface of the water, Zoro's wounded body sank into the murky waters of the sea. His lungs begged for fresh air but Zoro just allowed his body to sink like a rock. He didn't want to feel the warmth of the sun, nor the feeling of fresh air filling his lungs. He wanted to die. It would be better than living the rest of his life, knowing that he failed everyone. He had failed his honor. He had failed Lucy and her friends. And worst of all, he failed his promise to Kuina. He had failed the ultimate promise. The one he could not keep. As he sank, Zoro felt his life drain away. Zoro, don't give up. Who's there? What? You don't remember a friend? Zoro's mind showed him an image of Kuina. Kuina, how can I hear you? I'm guessing either two things. Either one, or having one of those telepathy, death to living moments. Or 2, you're going nuts due to the lack of oxygen going to your brain. Well, that sure made sense. I'll take number 1, it sort of makes sense. Anyway, what do you mean, don't give up? I've failed everyone. There's nothing else for me to live for. You're wrong, you haven't failed everyone. You have one promise that you cannot just break. You mean ours. Too late for that one. No, you dummy. I'm talking about that one you made with that girl who's at the surface, bawling her eyes out. What was her dream again? To become the Pirate Queen or something. Pirate Queen. Bawling her eyes out. Do you mean Lucy? Why would she be crying? What do you think, genius? She obliviously cares a lot about you and she sees you as a great friend. She promised she'd help you reach your dream and you did the same. And you know you can't break this promise, Zoro. You care for her just as much as she cares for you. Maybe even more than you think. Zoro was taken aback by that. Was Kuina implying that he saw Lucy as that he felt her more as Zoro couldn't bring himself to think it. Anyway, my point is that you can't just give up yet, Zoro. You promised me you would become the world's greatest swordsman and you promised Lucy that you would help her become the Pirate Queen. You've always kept your promises, Zoro. You always have and you always will. So get back up there and live your dream. Zoro suddenly felt his body being pulled up and he could feel the wind of the sea as he resurfaced. As he slipped into unconsciousness, his last thought was, I will, Kuina. I will. Lucy looked to the side when she heard the sudden splashes. Her eyes shined with relief as she saw Johnny and Yosaku swim Zoro to the Baratie and helped him to the ship. The she captain placed her hand on her thumbing chest and she took a big sigh of relief. Thank God, he's okay. He's okay, she whispered as she closed her eyes slowly and tears of happiness cascaded down her flawless cheeks. As Zoro got looked over by Usopp, Mihawk crossed his arms and he lifted his chin. It's still far too early for you to die. My name is Dracul, Hawk Eyes, Mihawk. You are strong, but there is much for you to learn. No matter how many years it takes, I will keep the title as the world's greatest swordsman till the day you come to defeat me. Till that day, you must hone your skills. Then, seek me out. Roronoa Zoro, yelled the Grand Master Swordsman. He then turned to Lucy. And you, young lady, what is your great ambition? He asked. Lucy gave a determined look. To become the Pirate Queen, she said. Mihawk smirked. That's even more difficult than trying to beat me, he said. Lucy remained determined. Say what you want, I'm still gonna pursue it. So nay, she said childishly as she stuck her tongue out at him. Hey, Lucy, Zoro's alright, was just unconscious. Called Usopp. Lucy looked over and gave a smile. That's great, I'm glad, she called back. Johnny and Yosaku were crying tears of worry and joy. Thank God you're okay, big bro Zo. Cheered both men. Zoro's eyes opened slowly and he raised the Wado Ikimonji in the air. Lucy, can you hear me? Yelled the young man. Lucy stood up and she nodded. Yeah, loud and clear, she yelled back. Zoro took in big gulps of air. I'm sorry for getting you worried and making you cry for me. With me dead, it would have dented your chances at being the queen of the pirates, choked the swordsman. Lucy blinked in surprise. What was Zoro trying to say? Zoro coughed a bit of blood. Please, save your strength, big bro Zo, cried Yosaku. Zoro ignored him. I solemnly swear, I will never lose again. Yelled Zoro as tears suddenly formed his eyes. He had no idea why he was suddenly acting like this. Until the day comes, when I defeat him and take his title, I will never be defeated. Any objections? Queen of the Pirates, yelled Zoro to the sky, his words echoing with the rippling waves. Lucy felt a great warmth fill her heart. To hear Zoro say something as true and honorable made her feel very good inside. She had no idea why. The onyx-eyed girl then gave a faint grin. No objections at all, she called. Mihawk looked at the two before giving a firm nod. You two make quite the pair. An odd combination, yes, but all in all, a good pair indeed. I hope to meet the two of you soon enough, said the older swordsman as he turned and left on his boat, disappearing in a mysterious mist. Lucy turned to Usopp and she gave a wave. Usopp, you and the others go on ahead. See if you can find out where Nami's taking the ship. I'll stick around with Sanji to help protect the Baratie. We'll find you guys somewhere, K? Asked the soon-to-be Pirate Queen. Usopp nodded and he threw Lucy her hat. Okay, we'll see ya soon enough. Good luck, Lucy, called Usopp as he, Zoro, Johnny, and Yosaku sailed away on a boat they found. Lucy grinned and she turned to the crew of the Baratie. Hey, old man, if I beat these guys for ya, will you let me go? She asked. Zeph crossed his arms. If you can beat these fellas, it would take a miracle. Do what you must, he said. Lucy nodded and she turned to the battlefield. Freedom, here she comes. Gum gum hammer. Miss, Lucy, exclaimed Sanji as Lucy sank into the water. After a rough and vigorous fight with Sanji, with his fancy, footwork fighting skills, Don Krieg and his strongest crewmate, Pearl, Lucy had gained the upper hand by performing the gum gum hammer on Don Krieg, knocking him out. The only drawback of the attack was that the impact sent Lucy sinking into the sea. Every member of the Bharati cheered with praise while the crew members of Don Krieg's ship scorned and sneered. Zeph walked over to Sanji. "Well, are you going to save her or not?" asked the old man. "What do you mean?" asked Sanji. "Idiot boy. Because of her devil fruit powers, she can't swim," said Zeph. Sanji's eyes widened. "What? You could have told me sooner, old man," he yelled as he took off his shoes, socks, and black coat and he dived into the water. He swam and swam into the dark depths of the sea, searching for any signs of the she captain. He swam deeper and deeper until he saw Lucy. Her foot was snagged by a large rope and she wasn't moving. The young chef swam over to the young girl and he tugged at the rope desperately. He could feel his lungs tighten for air but he refused to let go. He now understood why Lucy and her crew fought for their ambitions. The will to see their dreams was strong and they didn't give a damn if they had to die for them. With great strength, Sanji pulled Lucy free and he helped her to the surface. Sanji took gasps of air and he shook the unconscious Lucy. "Come on, Lucy. Please don't die on me. Please," begged Sanji. He then swam her over to the remains of the Bharati and he helped her onto the deck. He turned the girl to her back and he began shacking her. "Lucy, goddamn it. Wake up, please, Lucy. Let me see your beautiful eyes. Let my ears hear your songbird-like voice. Please, don't die," yelled Sanji desperately. Lucy gave a soft murmur, curling to her side and mewing like a kitten. Sanji's jaw dropped before he closed it and he gave a light chuckle before looking to the ocean. Lucy was a strange girl, a cute, amazing, one-of-a-kind, strange girl. This is really good, Sanji," complimented Lucy as she took a sip from the soup Sanji made for her. Sanji gave a grin. "To be complimented from a pretty girl like you, Lucy, it's a great honor," said the chef. Lucy grinned. It was only an hour after the Don Krieg incident. Lucy had woke up and Sanji had prepared her some lunch. Just as Lucy was going to take another sip of soup, there was a sudden crash by the side on the wall. "Damn, I just fixed that," cursed Sanji angrily. The smoke from the crash cleared and it revealed to be Yosaku in the mouth of a shark. "That was random," said Lucy bluntly. After helping Yosaku out of the shark, Lucy helped him to a chair. "What happened, big bro yo?" asked the she pirate gently. Yosaku looked down at his lap. "We went after Nami, just as you asked. We couldn't catch up but we found out where she was heading. And I'll tell you this, the island she was heading to could be a big risk. We really need your help, little sis Lu," muttered the bounty hunter. Lucy gave a firm nod. "Okay, I sort of get what you're saying. Let's head out," she said. Yosaku nodded and he followed her onto the deck. "Wait," called Sanji suddenly. Lucy stopped in her tracks. Sanji lit a cigarette and he stuck it between his teeth. "I can see that your dream is impossible and hard. Then again, so is mine," said the blonde sous chef. Lucy turned her head slightly. "And what would your dream be?" she asked. Sanji was silent for a moment before saying, "To see the all blue. The legendary ocean where all four oceans meet. Any chef would dream to cook there. Believe it or not, that's the old man's dream, too. When I was a kid, me and him got stranded on an island. I hated him because he was a pirate back then and he was the one who raided the ship I was on. We went on separate spaces on the island and I soon ran out of the food I had saved. When I tried to steal the old man's share, I found out he had nothing. I also found out he had cut off his own leg to save my life and I found out that he wanted to see the all blue, too. That's why I live on this ship. For me and the old man, well, you could say he's like the dad I'd never had," finished the blonde. Sanji then looked up with a serious look. "So Lucy, you think you have one more spot on your crew?" he asked. Lucy blinked before letting out the biggest grins she had and she sprang onto Sanji, giving him a giant hug. Yes, thank you, cheered the black-haired captain. Sanji gave a sappy smile and he twirled the girl in his arms. The feeling in his heart was warm. It was a feeling you would get from hugging a sister. That sort of surprised Sanji. Usually, when he hugged a woman, which was always followed by a giggle or a punch in the face, he would feel a great love for the girl. But with Lucy, it was just a mild warmth. Nothing more. Sanji placed Lucy down and he smirked at the crew of the Bharati. "There you go. I quit. That's what you guys wanted all along, right?" he asked. The crew was silent. Sanji was surprised. He thought he would hear an uproar of, "Hell yes." Was the crew and the old man gonna miss him? The next day, Lucy and Yosaku waited for Sanji in the boat the Bharati had lent them. The whole crew, counting out Zeph, was there to send them off. "Hey, little sis Lu, where's Sanji?" asked Yosaku. Lucy spun her hat on her finger and she placed said hat on her head. "Don't know, maybe he overslept," she said. Sanji suddenly walked over with a bag and suitcase. He made his way silently to the little boat without batting an eye at anyone. "Let's get going," he said. "You're not gonna say goodbye?" asked Lucy. Sanji gave a light smile. "Nah, it's fine," he said. "Sanji," called Zeph suddenly. Sanji stopped in his tracks. Zeph was standing only a foot away from his with a look of seriousness. "Take care of yourself," said Zeph quietly. Sanji's lips suddenly began to quiver and his eyes were suddenly forming tears. Faintly in his mind, Sanji heard a few words he hadn't heard in a long time. It doesn't matter what sort of person walks through our doors. If they are hungry, then they will be fed. We will feed anyone who has a starved stomach. Because we can make that happen, Sanji. That is our will. That is the dream that you and I share. It is the dream that bonds us. Zeef. Sanji suddenly yelled as he turned and hugged the old man like a child to a parent. Tears furiously ran down face and he was clenching his jaw so much that it hurt. Thank you, old man. I owe you my life and I have no way to repay you. Thank you for being as kind as a father would be to his son. So thank you, cried Sanji. Zeff had tears going down in his own eyes and he hugged Sanji back. The crew of the Baratie gave tears themselves and they ran over to the two, joining in a giant hug. Lucy and Yosaku smiled at the sight. They all looked like one big, happy family. Sanji broke away from his crew and he hopped onto the small boat. As the vessel sailed, Sanji waved with tears still in his eyes. Goodbye. I'll miss you all. I promise to come back someday. I promise, he yelled. The crew waved back frantically and Lucy and Yosaku joined in the waves. With a grin, Lucy turned around and pointed to the sea. Okay, let's set sail. Let's find out where Nami went. Disclaimer: this story do not belong to me. The author is Queen of the Pirates by Mustar0013. Chapter 9, Was It All a Lie? Okay, Yosaku, where's the place Nami's heading? Asked Lucy. She, Sanji, and Yosaku had been sailing for a bit and the weather was looking very pleasant. Yosaku wringed his hands slightly. She's going where the saw-tooth Arlong is, he said grimly. Lucy and Sanji were silent for a minute before Lucy asked, who the hell is he? Yosaku fell anime style and then stood back up. What, you never heard of saw-tooth Arlong? He asked in shock. Sanji blew smoke from his cigarette. No, do we need to know who he is? He asked in a slight, bored tone. Yosaku crossed his arms. Well, yes you do. He is a fish man who, in the past, has destroyed anything in his path along the Grand Line, said the painted skull man. Sanji raised his eyebrow. Fish man, he asked. Lucy tilted her head. That sounds pretty cool. What did they look like? She asked. Sanji suddenly had hearts in his eyes and the puffs of smoke of his cigarette turned heart-shaped. I don't know about the guys but, I hear the fish woman of Fish Man Island are real beauties, he said. Lucy suddenly pulled a sketch pad that came out of nowhere and she quickly drew a picture. She showed her work as a messily drawn fish-like creature with many limbs. Did they look like this? She asked. Sanji threw his head back and laughed. No. Ha ha ha. Put that sure is a hell of a picture. Laughed the blonde cook. Yosaku sighed in frustration. Okay, please listen to me for just a minute. The reason the Grand Line is called the Pirates' Graveyard is because of Arlong and two other powers. The first power is this group called the Seven Warlords. Lucy placed her finger on her chin. The Seven Warlords? She asked. Yosaku nodded. Yeah, they're a group of pirates who are authorized by the government, confirmed the bounty hunter. Authorized by the government? Why would any pirate want that? Asked Sanji. For protection. The government and the Seven Warlords are on easy terms. The warlords give some of their treasures to the government and the government lets them live. A lot people think of them as dogs of the government but, good luck trying to say that in front of one of them. They're seriously strong. Dracula, Hawk Eyes, Mahawk happens to be one of them, said Yosaku. Lucy grinned. Really? How cool. I can't wait to meet the 6 others, she said excitedly. Yosaku decided to continue his explanation. Anyway, the next of the powers is Arlong. He's destroyed over 20 towns in the Grand Line without mercy. He's one of the most feared pirates ever with the bounty of 20 million berry, he said. Lucy let out a long whistle. Huh, that sounds pretty impressive. I wonder if I'll get the chance to fight him, she said, looking at the sky. What, little sis Lu, you'll get yourself killed if you fight him. Do you even know how strong he is? He asked. Lucy shrugged. Nope, but, I guess I'll find out when we get to the island, she said. She then rubbed her stomach. Hey Sanji, you think you can start on lunch? Pretty pleased with meat on top? She asked, giving a puppy dog look and pout. Sanji instantly melted. Oh, of course, Lucy. What would you like? He asked. Meat right off the bone, please, she said. Sanji nodded and turned to Yosaku. You want something, too? He asked. Yosaku sighed. It looks like his warnings weren't getting to his young friends. He might as well get something to eat. It looked like today was gonna be a long day. You know how to make beans on toast? He asked. Sanji gave a cocky grin. Of course I do. Meat and beans on toast, coming right up, he said as he walked into the small kitchen of the small boat. Lucy noticed Yosaku was a bit quiet and she patted his shoulder. Come on, don't be sad. He said he'd make the food. What's to be sad about? Asked the captain with innocence sparkling in her gem-like eyes. Yosaku looked to the sky. Oh, if only the young captain knew what she was going to be up against. Okay, how did I get myself into this shit? Thought Zoro as he looked at 2 strange men who had him tied up. Their skins were at odd, dull colors and they looked like fish-human hybrids. He closed his eyes and he slowly recalled the events that took place a few hours ago. He, his fellow bounty hunters, and Usopp had docked on the island. Zoro had his wounds fixed and the group decided to split up and search for Nami. The swordsman had ran up to the two strange creatures. They caught him easily because he was still hurt from battling the hawk. They tied him up good and tight and they had taken away his katanas. As the boat they were on came to a stop in front of large, wooden gates, one of the hybrids called, "Open the gates. We have a prisoner on this vessel." The gates slowly opened and the boat sailed in. The boat entered a courtyard that had 3 large pools and fancy-looking fish statues. Zoro could spot many other fish hybrids with razor-sharp teeth and dark and clay-smooth skin. The boat slowly came to a stop and a dark, deep voice chuckled. The owner of a chuckle was a fish-human hybrid with a muscular build. His skin was a light blue and he almost resembled a great white shark. His fingers and toes were webbed and there were gills right at the sides of his neck. He had messy, midnight black hair and black, beady eyes. The most distinctive thing about him was his saw-like nose. The shark man gave an evil smirk at the Roronoa, showing his sharp, needle-like teeth. "Shahaha. Okay, Q-man, what is your reason for coming here?" asked the shark hybrid. Zoro glared at him. He could tell from the get-go that this guy was bad news. "I'm looking for a girl, fish shit," he muttered. The fish man gave another grin. "You got some guts for insulting me. Us fishmen can wipe out you Q-mons with just one snap of our teeth. We can breath both on and off land and we have 5 times the strength of you puny Q-mons. So get this through your thick skull and into that prune you call a brain, you will most certainly die at my hand," he boasted. There was a sudden sigh of annoyance and a woman walked out of her hiding place in the shadows. "Your boasting is really starting to annoy me, Arlong," said an all too familiar voice. Zoro's eyes widened as he watched Nami walk right next to Arlong. Arlong waved his wrist. "Please, Nami, you know I wasn't talking about you. You are a very special Q-man and a valued member of this crew," said the fish man. Nami rolled her eyes. "Whatever," she said simply. Zoro gritted his teeth. "Why did he call you a member of his crew, Nami? You can't expect me to believe that you work for this guy," he said. Arlong arched his eyebrow. "Shahehe, friend of yours, Nami?" he asked in a taunting tone. Nami gave a smirk. "As if. This is just one of the fools who thought I was a simple thief. Too bad he came all the way here just to find out that I was just more than that," she said as she walked over to Zoro and looked down at him. Zoro's mouth formed a thin line and his eyes narrowed. "So this is who you really are. And here to think that I thought you would only go as low as to joining a rookie pirate captain," he muttered. Nami gave a devious look. "Well, I guess you thought wrong. Sure, it was nice to meet Lucy and have a few laughs here and there but, it was all just an act. And you fell for it so easily," said the traitor as she pointed her left shoulder and revealed a blue tattoo in the shape of a swirling swordfish. "That's right, Zoro. I am the navigator of the Arlong pirates," said Nami evilly, her eyes hiding the real truth. Zoro began to ground his teeth. This bitch. How could she? She had us all fooled from the start. Damn it. Why? To betray us. And to Lucy. Lucy trusted her and now this. I'll never forgive this witch," thought the swordsman angrily as his blood sizzled with anger. Nami smirked in satisfaction as she watched Zoro's face twist into anger, betrayal, and hatred. Well, look who's finally putting the pieces together. That's right, I used you guys right from the very start. I knew I could fool you all. Especially Lucy. She's too naive and goody-goody to see the hearts of others," said the Carrot Top smugly. Zoro let out a feral growl from the back of his throat. If this loudmouth insulted Lucy one more time, so help him. Shahaha. Well put, Nami. That's right, you foolish Q-man. Nami here betrayed her family and friends to join me. She is a pirate and I am her captain, laughed Arlong maniacally. Zoro saw Nami flinch at Arlong's comment and he smirked knowingly. I don't give a damn. She could have been a serial killer for all I care. I never trusted her in the first place, he said. Nami glared at him. Then why don't you just leave if you don't trust me, she snarled. Zoro smirked knowingly. Maybe I will, he yelled as he kicked his foot back and splashed into the pool of Arlong Park. No one even got a chance to blink before Nami dived after him. In a matter of seconds, Nami brought him back up and the two coughed off water. You idiot, to do something as stupid as that. And with bandages like that, too. You must have gotten banged up real bad. Nah, I'm just using these bandages as a cover-up. If I came without a shirt, you'd probably get distracted. Nami need him in a place that you would never want to be need and Zoro fell with a grunt. Nami scowled at him and she grabbed him by his hair and she dragged him to his feet. I'll take him to the cells. Isn't it time you raid the village by now? Asked the thief. Arlong smirked. Great idea. Men, we've got a village to raid. Onward, yelled the fish man as he and his fish brethren charged out of Arlong Park. Once the strange hybrids were out of sight, Nami quickly untied Zoro from his binds and she gave him the Wado Ikimonji that was hidden behind a statue. Get going. Arlong and his crew can be back here in a heartbeat. muttered the girl as she walked away. Zoro raised an eyebrow and then he heard a sudden clatter. He turned around and saw some of Arlong's men. They must have remained to watch over the pagoda. With a smug smirk, Zoro slid his katana from its hilt. This was gonna be fun. YYYEEHHHAAAAWWWWW. Lucy was laughing with glee as the giant sea cow that she and Sanji caught swam her small boat at great speed. Lucy's grin grew wider when she spotted a pagoda-like island only a few miles away. "Hey, Yosaku, is that the island?" asked the she-captain. Yosaku nodded with a grim face. "Yeah, that pagoda is where Arlong Park is," muttered the bounty hunter. The sea cow suddenly let out a howl and it swam in a different direction. Hey, you're going the wrong way," yelled Lucy as the Sea King swam directly toward a leafy part of the island and the rope leash that bonded it to the boat came off with a snap and sent the small boat flying. The three young adults let out yells as the vessel went airborne before it slid onto land with a trebling slip. The boat slipped and slid while the three people aboard screamed their heads off. Lucy then blinked when she spotted someone in the distance. "Hiya, Zoro," greeted Lucy as the swordsman, now with a royal blue, open shirt, quickly grabbed the bow of the ship. He looked up at his captain with a questioning brow. The boat suddenly came to a stop with an ear-piercing screech and it sent both captain and first mate flying into lush plants. Zoro grunted at the impact on his back and his eyes went shut. His head went into a tailspin and he then felt something warm on his forehead and he smelt the faint scent of vanilla. His eyes opened and they widened to the size of dinner plates as he saw Lucy's forehead against his own. The bridge of Lucy's nose coursed with Zoro's and Lucy's small hands were against his abs and her legs were at either sides of his hips. Zoro bit the inside of his cheeks as his face flushed red and a hot feeling warmed up his lower stomach. Stay calm, ordered Zoro's conscience as Zoro placed his hands on his captain's shoulders and gently shacked her. Get up, Lucy," muttered the red swordsman. Lucy opened her eyes and they met Zoro's. Lucy could smell and feel Zoro's warm breath and the girl suddenly felt her stomach tighten. She sat up, feeling something rush into the inside of her cheeks, not knowing that it was a light blush. Whoops. Sorry, Zoro," she stuttered. Zoro raised his eyebrow at Lucy's sudden shyness but he decided to shake it off. "It's fine. Nice entrance, by the way," said the samurai. Lucy gave a grin and laughed. "Yeah, you missed a lot. There was great food, and a giant sea cow. And, hey Lucy, you alright?" Sanji popped his head over the side and he gasped. He quickly grabbed Lucy by her arm and he pulled her up, holding his arms protectively around her and he scowled at Zoro. "How dare you, trying to coax someone as innocent as my captain into dirty things. Are you okay, Lucy? That brute didn't take your purity, did he?" cooed the blonde as he tenderly stroked the girl's raven locks. Zoro felt steam fume through his ears. That perverted presenter had better get his arms off the young captain or else he'd find a sword shoved right up his. "What's purity? Can I eat it?" asked Lucy with a tilt of her head. Zoro's sweat dropped and Sanji, huzzed that the young girl was still pure. Once the four got out of the wreckage, Lucy turned to Zoro. "Say, Zoro, where are Usopp and Johnny? Did you guys find her yet?" asked the captain. "Don't even ask about that witch, little sis Lu." The four turned to see Johnny walk over to them with a look of regret. "What do you mean, big bro John?" asked Lucy. Johnny looked at them with tears threatening to come out his eyes. "Because Nami murdered big bro USO. That's what I mean," he yelled and he began trembling. Everyone gasped. He was kidding, wasn't he? "I saw it with my own eyes, she stabbed him. Just like that, she had us all fooled all along. She used." "Shut up, don't you dare say that about Nami. She would never kill anyone. You're lying," screamed Lucy as she grabbed Johnny by the front of his shirt and lifted him off the ground without a break of sweat. Her eyes were submerged in anger and she bared his teeth. "You really believe that?" Lucy's face of anger dropped and she turned to see Nami standing a few feet away with crossed arms and a pole in her hand. Lucy placed Johnny down, spun around, and gave a small smile. "Nami," she said happily. The redhead frowned. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Lucy's smile dropped. "What do you mean? We came here to get you. You're our friend," said the black-haired pirate. "Friends? You're so naive, Lucy. There's not such things as friends. I only used you because you helped me gain some cash. But now that I have what I need, I don't need you anymore. So why don't you go and scram before I decided to kill you?" said Nami with a flat tone. Lucy blinked in astonishment. Her eyes darted to Nami's bandaged wrapped hand and she tipped her hat. "So that's how it is, huh?" she asked as she laid back into the dirt of the ground with her hat covering the upper half of her face. "What are you doing, little sis Lu?" asked Johnny. Lucy rested the back of her head with her arms. "I'm gonna take a nap. You can say what you want, Nami, but I'm not gonna leave. You're still my friend. You and I both know that," said the onyx-eyed girl as she drifted off into the world of dreams. Nami glared at the girl's stubbornness. "Fine, go to sleep. I hope you get killed while you're dreaming," she shouted as she spun around and ran away. The area was silent for a while before Yosaku cleared his throat. "So, now what should we do?" he asked. Zoro looked at the sleeping Lucy. He knew how stubborn she was and he knew she wasn't going to leave the island without that witch of a navigator. He sighed, crossing his legs under him and taking a seat on the ground. I don't know about you guys but, I'm staying here. I gotta protect this brat in case she goes off and tries to do something stupid, muttered the swordsman. The two other bounty hunters looked at him and Johnny shook his head. Fine, you guys can stick around here but, I'm leaving. I don't want any part of this, said the glasses-wearing man. Yosaku nodded in agreement and the two left with small goodbyes. Zoro sighed and he saw Sanji sit on the other side of Lucy. So, you're staying? Asked Zoro. Sanji lit a cigarette and he nodded. Yes, she's my captain now, I can't leave her. Besides, Sanji gave him a sly grin. God knows what would happen if I left her here with you, he said smugly. Zoro glared and he suddenly looked shark-like. Are you implying something or what, you pervert? He yelled. Sanji had a look that could rival Zoro's. Don't play coy, mossball head. I know what you're up to. You just want Lucy all to yourself. He yelled back. Zoro snarled and he pulled out his katana. Dumb ass. You're the one who had his hands all over her only a while ago. Snapped the swordsman. It was a surprise that Lucy hadn't woken up from all the yelling. Both men leapt in the air, Sanji with a flying kick while Zoro with his weapon. They didn't notice a dead sniper coming their way and crashing into them. Lucy woke up and she gasped as she saw Usopp lying on the ground. Usopp, thank God you're okay, cried the captain as she nearly hugged him to death. Can't breathe, yelled Usopp as air barely got through his throat. Lucy giggled and released him. I knew it. I knew Nami didn't kill you. She would never do something that evil, said the team captain happily. Usopp brushed dirt dust of his overalls. You're right, Lucy. Nami never did kill me. When she tried to stab me, she actually stabbed her own hand. It looks like she made me do a fake death so that I could escape, said the sniper. Zoro nodded. I get it. That would explain why her hand was wrapped in bandages, he said. Usopp nodded as well. Yeah, it seems that she has a deal tied with Arlong. It's something that makes Nami just stay with him, he said. You got that right. The four pirates turned to see a 20-year-old girl. She had short, purple-blue hair and dark, blue-green eyes. She wore curvy, dark blue tattoos on her right arm and light pink lip gloss graced her lips. Who's the chick? Asked Lucy. That's Nami's older sister, Nojiko, explained Usopp. He had met the girl when the boat had docked on the island. Wow, no wonder she's so hot, cooed Sanji as he looked like a drooling wolf. Nojiko walked over to them slowly. If I were you guys, I'd take Nami's warning and leave this place immediately, said the older sister. Zoro crossed his arms. Listen, as much as us guys want to leave this place, Zoro jerked his head in Lucy's direction. Doesn't want to. And as a first mate, I must, unfortunately, stay with her, said the swordsman. The other two nodded in agreement. Nojiko looked at the group and she gave a light smile. So you're the people my little sister decided to spend her time with. I can see why. You're as persistent as, Nojiko suddenly stopped herself, her eyes darkening with regret. We're as persistent as who? Asked Sanji. Nojiko leaned on her heels. Someone who meant the world to me and Nami. You guys wanna know it? Asked the dark-eyed woman. Lucy shook her head and she walked past her. Nah, I don't wanna hear about Nami's past. I'm gonna take a walk. See ya, said the she-captain as she walked away, ignoring Usopp's and Sanji's yells. Lucy walked for a while before she noticed a group of fish men on the road. One looked like an octopus. The other, a ray. And the last, a man with shy blue skin and anteater-like lips. Lucy didn't bat an eye at them as she walked past them nonchalantly. Hey, cute girl, wait up, yelled the octopus man. Lucy stopped and she turned. She pointed to herself. Huh, ya mean me? She asked. The octopus man nodded. Yeah, who are you? You're not from around here. Called the hybrid. Lucy crossed her arms behind her head. What's it to ya? She asked. The fish man blinked stupidly. Well, it's just that we don't get much visitors around here, he said. Ah, well my name's Lucy. I'm just passing through. See ya, gents, said Lucy with a tip of her hat and she began her walk away. The fishmen decided to ignore her, thinking that she wasn't going to be a hassle. Boy, were they wrong. Lucy had now found herself in a small village called Kokoyashi. She was sitting under a palm tree and she was pondering about what she just saw. A group of Marines, along with a strange old man in a captain's uniform, walked through the town with no good faces. But that wasn't what caught the young pirate's attention. Oh no, it was the pinwheel that was perched on the man's head. Pinwheel, huh? She asked herself, remembering the simple, spinning toy. The girl then grinned. Hey, I know what my next move is, she said in a sing-song voice. She suddenly heard pleas of help and the girl got to her feet. She spotted a group of people and a person with familiar, orange hair. What happened? Nojiko's been shot. It's Arlong's fault. He and the Marines are on good terms. He lied to Nami. Lucy jogged over and she spotted Nojiko, lying in the pinwheel man's arm and with a bullet wound in her abdomen. She was panting heavily and she looked pale. The young pirate looked at Nami and she carefully placed her hand on the redhead's shoulder. Nami, are you oh? Lucy fell to the dirt with a heavy thud. Everyone around them gasped. Lucy slowly sat up and she placed her hand on her cheek, wincing slightly on the bruise Nami's hand left her. Lucy looked up to meet Nami's eyes bleached in anger. Why did you stay here? I thought I told you to leave and never come back. I hate you, yelled the navigator as she sprinted out of the area. The pinwheel-wearing man helped Lucy up. You okay, young lady? My, Nami hurt you pretty bad, he said. Lucy looked in the direction Nami had left, saying nothing. Shahahaha, you think I would keep my word to a weak Q man? Think again, bitch. We don't care if we get killed, Nami. The only thing that matters is that you leave this island. No one deserves the life you had to endure. Nami collapsed to her knees, the words that she had heard echoed in her mind. She could feel her body tremble with fear. She hadn't trembled this much since, that day, she knew what was going to happen. Genzo, the pinwheel-wearing man, and many other villagers were off to try and get rid of Arlong for her. The thief knew that they would all be killed. Why did this happen? She never wanted anyone she loved and cared for to get hurt. She heard Arlong's murderous laugh in her memory and her eyes suddenly gave a ballistic glare. In quick swoops, Nami grabbed a nearby dagger and she stabbed her arm repeatedly, right over her Arlong tattoo. She screamed angrily with anguished tears, wanting that cursed mark to drain away with her gushing blood. She wanted it off. She wanted to die. Before she could permanently damage her arm, a sudden hand grabbed her dagger-wielding arm. Nami froze and she turned her head ever so slowly over her shoulder. Lucy, she whispered. The raved-haired pirate stood behind Nami, a frown on her lips and a bandage on her bruised cheek. With her free hand, Lucy pulled the bloody dagger out of her friend's hand and she threw it in a random direction. Lucy slowly dropped Nami's hand, not saying a word. After a long and uneasy silence, Nami asked in a hoarse voice, "What do you want?" "You know nothing about this. About me. You don't know how much has happened to this innocent place. You don't know what we've lost." "You're right. I know nothing about this place," said Lucy in an emotionless tone. Nami gritted her teeth and her hands turned into pale fist. "I told you to leave this place. This place has nothing to do with you," muttered the redhead, her shoulders trembling and her eyes forming more tears. Her fingers met the dirt under her and she clawed her fingernails into the ground. "You're right. You told me and I didn't listen," said Lucy, staying in her spot. Nami angrily clawed at the dirt, sending dust clouds at Lucy. "Then leave. Go away. Why did Lucy stay? I hate you. Don't you understand? This had nothing to do with Lucy. She had no idea at all. Go away. Go away. Go away." Nami clawed at the dirt one last time before breaking down into tears. She whimpered and sobbed, her body shaking madly and her face getting red with anger. Lucy made no move to walk away, or console. Nami cried into her dirt-covered hands for a moment before turning her head to Lucy. With a pleading tone, she whispered, Lucy, help me." Lucy lowered her head and she gave a shadow-covered look. She slowly removed her straw hat from her head and she plopped it onto Nami's. "Of course, I'll help you, Nami," whispered the onyx-eyed girl as she turned and walked ahead. She stopped and bended her legs. "I will help you. I promise, I promise." Lucy sprang to her feet and she screamed to the sky. "He will paayyyyyyyyy." Nami gasped and she placed her trembling hand on the brim of the straw hat. This was Lucy's most prized possession. Did Lucy trust her enough to take care of it? Meanwhile, Lucy walked ahead when she saw Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji already waiting for her. Not bothering to ask when they arrived, Lucy gave a strong command. "Let's go." The three young men gave firm nods. "Right," they said in unison. As the crew walked on, Zoro noticed Lucy's mouth with slightly mumbling something. It was faint but, he could make out the words. "Dana Toki Dat. No matter what the time. Tada Hitorida. I'm just alone. Unmei Washert. Destiny forgotten. Ikite Kita no Ni. Even though I kept going. Tatsuzan no Hikari no Nakami ga Seimaru. Inside the sudden light, I awakened. Mayanaka ni." In the middle of the night. Zoro was surprised. Lucy's voice sounded so angelic. Zoro allowed his eyes to go half-lidded as he and the others walked while Lucy whispered her song of encouragement. "Shizuka ni, Deguchi ni, Tat. Quietly, stand in, the exit way. Kurayami, ni Hikari o, Ute. And, in the pitch black, take the light." The four warriors walked their way to Arlong Park. Each of them were side by side with hard faces of determination. They could slowly see the shark-like pagoda appear over the lush mountain and they quickened their pace. "Amadoki yakusoku nanti fuan ni seizaru date kana." And about the recent promises, is it just that I'm so anxious? Negai o kuchi ni shide dake sa. A wish that's wanting to be said, but shall be repressed. Kazoku ni mo shukai suru yo. I'll introduce my family. Kido yumaku iku yo. You'll surely get along well. "Look, it's them," exclaimed Johnny. He and Yosaku were badly wounded. They must have had a run-in with the Arlong pirates. "Yeah, they're here to help," said Yosaku. "But why would they help us? What's the gain?" asked Genzo. Johnny gave a knowing smile as the pirates came closer. That's just how they are. Make sure to remember their faces and names. Usopp, the sniper. Sanji, the cook and fighter. Roronoa Zoro, the first mate and swordsman. And Monkey D. Lucy, the captain and future queen of the pirates, said the bounty hunter. The 4 pirates walked past the villagers without ever so turning their heads. Lucy suddenly made a mad dash for the wall, her leg breaking through the cement with one mighty kick. Lucy looked up and she glared at all the fishmen. Dana Toki Dat. No matter what the time. Zuto Futarida. We'll always be together. Dana Toki Dat. No matter what the time. Soba ni Iru Kara. Because you're by my side. Kimi to Iu Hikari ga Watashi o Mitsukuru. The light known as, you, finds me. Mayanaka ni. In the middle of the night. Okay, which one of you bastards is Arlong? Chapter 10. Let the adventure begin. The sudden clouds that surrounded Arlong Park grew thicker and dense. The winds of the clouds blew slightly, ruffling Lucy's hatless black hair. The soon-to-be pirate queen had a look of determination and focus sketched on her face, and her eyes showed nothing but readiness. Her crew stood behind her, ready to jump to the aid of their captain. The villagers stood near as well, wondering what would be the next move of the 4 pirates. The Arlong pirates raised their eyebrows at the sudden intrusion, and Arlong gave a sideways glance. Arlong. Well, that just happens to be me, he said. Lucy walked forward. Good. Then you can call me Lucy, she said. Arlong gave a bored look. Lucy, what the hell does a pew man like you want? He asked. Lucy kept walking and she cracked her knuckles. I'm a pirate. I'm also the girl who's gonna kick your ass to the Grand Line and back, she said seriously. 2 fishmen stood in her way. You want to talk to the boss, you're gonna have to get past us, kid, said one of them. The other grabbed her by her shoulders. Yeah, say, you're pretty cute. How about a quick, move it or lose it? Snapped Lucy as she grabbed both of the men's head and slammed them together, knocking them out. Arlong's eyes widened slightly and Arlong's men gasped. Lucy ran forward with her fist behind her head. With a swing, Lucy yelled, "Gum Gum Pistol." And her punch nailed Arlong right in the jaw, sending him flying to the wall. Everyone around the area gasped and Lucy brushed her knuckles on her chest. Arlong looked up from his crumpled heap with dazed eyes. Who the hell are you? He muttered. Lucy exhaled like a bull, remembering Nami's tears and plea of help. I'm a friend of friends. And I want you to tell me this one thing before we fight. I know that you did something to Nami in the past. Something that scared her for life. Tell me, said Lucy in a slight, demanding voice. Arlong gave a satisfied smirk. I killed her precious stepmother and I made her member of my crew. I made her get me at least 10 million berry in order to buy back this crappy town of hers, he said in a smug tone. He then snapped his fingers. Boys, finish this piece of crap, he commanded. The fishmen charged directly at Lucy, only to be beaten by Sanji's powerful kick. Back off, fish freaks. No one touches my captain, except me, yelled the blue-eyed cook as he landed on his feet next to Lucy. Thanks, Sanji, said Lucy. Sanji gave a smile and nodded. Anytime, Lucy. Just don't get yourself into that kind of trouble or else I won't be able to save you, he said. Lucy waved her hand. I don't need saving, I can take care of myself, she said confidently. Zoro rolled his eyes and he walked next his captain. Try saying that when you start drowning in the ocean, he said. Lucy playfully stuck her tongue at him. No way. That's the pirate hunter. Roronoa Zoro, yelled the octopus hybrid, known as Hachi. And it looks like that long-nosed Nami, killed, is still alive, said one of the fishmen. The villagers stood in their places, their eyes transfixed on the 4 foreigners. Why are they helping us? It makes no sense, said Nojiko, who was still alive from her injury. Johnny gave a serious look. They saw Nami cry, he muttered. Did they need another explanation? Finished Yosaku with the same expression on his face. Everyone remained silent. Meanwhile, Along gave a devious smirk. Pirates huh? Well, the pieces are finally coming together. You folks just want Nami on your crew. Shahei. Well too bad. She's mine now and I ain't gonna give her up. Laughed the leader of the fishman. Hachi laughed with his boss. He's right. You can't win against us. You'll have to go through our little friend first. Yelled the Octo-Man as he blew his nose like a trumpet fanfare. The ground suddenly began to shake like an earthquake and the water formed a giant sport. Out of one of the large pools came the sea cow that Lucy and Sanji captured a while back. The sea cow looked at Lucy and Sanji and it began to whimper. As it turned to retreat, Hachi sudden blew a whistle and the sea king froze. Its eyes rolled to the back of its head and it suddenly went animalistic. It turned around and it charged at the pirates, along with many of Arlong's men. With a glare, Lucy stomped her feet hard into the ground, keeping her feet in place beneath the cement. Lucy then turned her hips and her torso wounded up all the way to her chest. Her arms stretched over to the sea cow and she got it by the horns. Guys, I think we should get out of here. It looks like Lucis got something, said Usopp. The other men agreed and they got out of the area as fast as they could. With a glare, Lucy released her body and she yelled, Gum Gum Pinwheel. Her body span around like a pinwheel with the sea cow in her hands. The monster's spinning body hit the fishmen that got too close to the attack, and Lucy threw the sea monster into the sky, sending it flying to another part of the sea. Lucy panted and she spun around to Arlong. "Okay, Arlong, I had enough of beating the shit out of your men. So come on, buck up and let's get the real fight started," she yelled. Arlong smirked and he stood up. He gave a smartass look. "Really? Well, how can you fight me when your feet are wedged into the ground like that?" he asked smugly. Lucy looked at her feet and she tried moving them. He was right. It looked like Lucy's feet were going nowhere. Hachi smirked as well and he lifted one of the fish statues nearby. "Let me handle her, boss," he yelled as he threw the piece and it landed directly on Lucy. The stone suddenly broke and Sanji stood by Lucy, his foot raised in the air. He had somehow gotten to her right before the rock landed on her. "Wow, thanks a bunch, Sanji," cheered Lucy. Sanji blew cigarette smoke. "No problem. Listen, you fish shit. If you ever try to kill my captain again, let's just say you'll be in my next fish kebabs." "The same goes for Nami," he said. The fish man, who looked like a ray, rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. "You're willing to fight for a lousy girl. How pathetic," he said. Sanji glared at him. "Don't you dare call a beauty like Nami lousy. I'll turn you into fish sticks," yelled Sanji angrily. Usopp quickly tried to get Lucy out of the ground. He grabbed her by her arms and he pulled with all his might. But it seemed that his pulls were fruitless. Lucy's feet stayed firm to the ground. Hachi grabbed another statue to throw at them when Zoro stepped in front of him with his katana. "Are you sure you want to throw that? 'Cause believe me, you throw, you die," said the swordsman. Hachi glared at him. "Why is a pirate hunter like you fighting for a pirate captain? What are you, her boyfriend?" he asked. Zoro snarled and his face flushed red. "To hell if I am," he yelled angrily. Hachi gave a smug look. "I see. It makes sense. A cute girl like her that would never get with a son of a bitch like you," he said. Zoro felt a fire erupt in his heart and he slashed his sword with an angry growl. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" he yelled as he breathed heavily. The sudden anger that had taken over him grew as hot and ballistic as an inferno. The man with the anteater-like lips glared at Usopp, who was still trying to free Lucy. Usopp gulped before running away, the fish man hot on his tail. Everyone's sweat dropped at that move and Arlong walked over to Lucy. The she-pirate glared and she threw a stretching fist. Arlong caught it and with great strength, he lifted the cement that Lucy was stuck in and he held her in the air easily. "Whoa, no way, no way, no way," yelled Lucy as she started struggling. Arlong grinned, baring his shark-like teeth. "They say that those with the devil fruit powers lose their ability to swim. Let's test that theory, shall we?" asked the fish man. Lucy shot her free fist and Arlong caught it with his sharp teeth. "Ouch, that hurts," yelled Lucy as Arlong's jaws pierced her skin, beads of blood forming and running down her wrist. With a menacing grin, Arlong threw the she-captain into the large pool. "Lucy!" Both Zoro and Sanji yelled as their captain sank into the water. The two made mad dashes for the teen when Hachi and the Ray Man blocked their way. Damn them, so this was their plan. If we jump after Lucy, then they can easily get us in the water with their aquatic abilities. We couldn't stand in a chance, muttered Sanji. Zoro growled at the back of his throat and he pulled out his katana. Hang tight, Lucy. We'll save you soon enough, he muttered under his breath. Deep inside him, he worried about the black-haired girl. Even though she had the powers of the gum-gum fruit, she couldn't hold her breath for long. Zoro and Sanji had to beat these guys soon, or else it would be so long to the queen of the pirates. Shit, that was the only thought that passed through Zoro's mind as Arlong's sharp claws closed around his neck. After his fierce fight with Hachi, Zoro and Sanji had decided to divide the plan. Sanji went after Lucy while Zoro tried to weaken Arlong. His attempts were proven not to help since Arlong had shown his great strength and he had Zoro in a vice grip. Zoro's wounds from his fight with Hachi were nearly fatal and Zoro did not move a muscle, the swords he had borrowed from his fellow bounty hunters in his hands and his Wado Ikimonji held between his teeth. Nami and Usopp had also shown up and they was among the crowd of villagers, wondering what would be the swordsman's next move. The ground suddenly began to rumble and Zoro smirked, knowing what was going to happen next. There was a sudden watersprout and Lucy appeared, freed from the cement, thanks to Sanji. The villagers let out cheers and Lucy gave a whooping cry. Get your hands off Zoro, fish breath, yelled Lucy as her arms stretched and she grabbed Zoro by his back, lifting him in the air with her. Say, Zoro, you wanna finish this guy together? Asked the pirate. Zoro smirked and he readied his katanas. Ready when you are, Captain, he said. When they slowly returned to Earth, Lucy shot her fist in a hot frenzy, yelling, Gum Gum Gatling. While Zoro called, Onigiri. And the two attacks hit Arlong dead on. Everyone gasped as the attack sent Arlong straight into the dirt, knocking him out into a long coma. Lucy and Zoro landed on their feet and they breathed heavily. Zoro tripped on his feet and Lucy quickly helped him steady, her arm around his torso and her the other putting Zoro's arm on her shoulder. Thanks, Zoro. I can always count on you, huh? panted Lucy, looking at Zoro with her happy, onyx eyes. Zoro smirked and he ruffled Lucy's messy hair. Yeah, kid, I will, he said. Lucy smiled and she then turned her gaze to Nami, her eyebrows frowning and a confident smile in her face. Nami, no matter what happens, you'll be more than a crewmate or friend to me. You'll be like the big sister I never had. Nami sniffled before her lips formed a teary smile, tears of happiness gathering around the corners of her eyes. Why yeah, she whispered. Everyone broke into cheers as they ran over to the pirates, lifting them into the air and cheering for them. A news reporter happened to be around and he had written down every note of the battle. With the camera he snapped a picture at Lucy, who hardly seemed to notice the sudden flash. Bye, Nojiko, Genzo, Johnny, Yosaku. I'm gonna miss you guys. Cheered Lucy as she gave each said person a hug. My, you're leaving already. Thank you for everything, said Genzo with a bow of his head. The pirates and the villagers of the village were all gathered around the docks and they were there to see the pirates set off. It was great seeing ya, big bro Zo, yelled both Johnny and Yosaku in unison. Zoro, who was on the going merry with Sanji and Usopp, nodded. Yeah, I hope we see each other again, he said. As Lucy got on the boat, Sanji noticed something. Say guys, where's Nami? He asked. Lucy played with her hat a little. I don't think she's coming. She's free of Arlong now so, she won't need to come with us if she doesn't want to, she said. Sanji went into what we can call for now, spazzing mode. What, my Nami isn't coming with us? Oh how cruel is fate. Relax, curly brow. Quit acting like a perv. Oh wait, too late for that. Shut it, moss ball head. I can't live without Nami. She is the light of my life. The angel of my dreams. The songbird of my. Look, it's Nami, yelled Lucy as suddenly pointed to a redhead, who was running to the ship. Start the boat. Set sail, now, yelled the thief as she dodged the groups of villagers around her. Following orders, the pirate gang started the going merry and it soon started sailing. At the last second, Nami made a giant leap and she landed perfectly on the bow of the ship. Without turning around, she lifted her shirt slightly, which gave Sanji a major nosebleed, and all the villagers' wallets fell to the floor. Everyone gasped and shouted while Lucy nearly laughed her head off. As the boat sailed farther and farther away from the village, Lucy noticed Nami's arm. Instead of her Arlong tattoo was now a different tattoo. It was in the shape of AX, a pinwheel rudder going one way while the branch of a tangerine tree going in the other way. Lucy smiled and she gave Nami a hug. It's great to have ya back, Nami, she said. Nami smiled and she hugged her back. It's good to be back, Lucy. Lucy. You thought this chapter was over. Think again, that would make this chapter way too short. There are still more paragraphs. Don't you dare touch that exit button. In Fuchsia village, Makino was cleaning up the tables of the party bar when the mayor suddenly came bursting in. He was panting wildly and his eyes were bugging out of his head. What's wrong? Did something happen? Asked Makino as she helped the old man to a chair. The mayor wheezed and he slapped a sheet of paper on a table. It was a wanted poster. Makino took one look at the poster and gasped. Oh my, she said, not believing her eyes. Makino ran to the outside of the bar. Hey everyone, come look who's on the wanted list, she called. The villagers piled into the bar and they erupted in applause for the person on the poster. Meanwhile, in Syrup village, Kaya and Mary were walking around town for shopping when they noticed a group of people were gathered around the town bulletin board. With curiously set in their minds, the two walked over. Carrot, Pepper and Onion were there and they were cheering. Yay, Captain's a real pirate now. The two adults looked and they gasped at the wanted poster posted up. Kaya then let out a grin. Wow, they're really living up to the life of piracy, she said happily, her eyes sparkling with joy. On the Barati, the whole crew looked in awe at the wanted poster that was delivered to them. Zeph gave a firm nod. They made it. They truly did, he said, feeling a proud smile on his face as he pinned up the poster. The customers of the restaurant raised their glasses in a toast. Yahoo! Everyone on the Going Merry nearly jumped a mile when they heard the captain's sudden outburst of joy. They all moved to the upper deck of the ship and they saw Lucy laughing like a maniac, holding out a wanted poster. It showed a picture of the young girl, covered in a few smudges and grinning to a camera, her straw hat on her head and giving a small wave. Everyone's eyes widened when they spotted the font above the picture. Wanted. They also nearly turned as pale as sheets when they spotted the font below. Dead or alive. Monkey D. Lucy. $B. 30 million. Yay, I have a bounty poster. I have a bounty poster. Cheered Lucy as she gave a happy dance. Usopp took the poster and let out a whistle. Wow, 30 million berry. That's so cool. And look, I'm in it, too. Alright, cheered Usopp as he happy danced with Lucy. Sanji took the poster and he spotted Usopp at the left side of the picture, his head turned away from the camera. Lucky bastard, muttered the cook. Lucy giggled and she took Sanji by the hand, making him happy dance with her and Usopp. Oh, cheer up, Sanji. You'll get your poster soon. Ha ha, this is awesome, cheered the pirate as the trio danced. Both Nami and Zoro gave knowing looks. They knew that bad stuff was gonna come out of this. But before the bad stuff comes along, we need to check up on an unknown island. The two lookouts of the island noticed a boat with candles glowing green flames appeared from a mysterious fog. The two let out yells as they recognized the owner of the boat. Dracula, Hawkeye, Mihawk. When the swordsman got onto the islands, he passed the gathering pirates around the beach and he walked into the jungle of the island, stopping when he reached a canopy with a few people sitting around it. In the center of the canopy was a all too familiar man with crimson red hair and a pair of midnight black eyes. If one were close enough, they could see that 3 long scars were across one of his eyes and his left arm was missing. Hawkeyes, it's been a while. Have you come to fight me? I hate to disappoint you but, I've been feeling a little sick lately. So, I can't fight you right now, said Shanks as he held his head low, the shade of the canopy hiding his face. Mihawk pulled a sheet of paper out of his pocket. Now that you've lost your left arm, I have no reason to fight you. Besides, I came here to tell you something. I've recently found a pirate who has caught my eye. She reminded me of a child you told me about. You know, about that little girl you saved a few years back. Do you remember? Asked the swordsman as he unrolled the paper and he revealed it to be Lucy's wanted poster. Shanks and everyone else flinched. After a moment, Shanks suddenly grinned at the poster. Lucy, you made it, he said. He felt a warmth fill his heart and he suddenly felt nostalgic. Shanks then stood up, swaying a bit as he did. Okay, Hawkeyes, now that I know that showing me this was your intentions, I can't let you leave yet. Without having a drink first, yelled the redhead as his men suddenly pulled out barrels of sake and a party began. Shanks poured Mihawk a mug of great beer and he handed it to him, the man's face a light pink. Come on, Hawkeyes. Tilt, back. It's a party, slurred Shanks in a happy tone. Mihawk raised his eyebrow. Didn't you just say you were recovering from hangover? Asked the golden-eyed men. Shanks shook his head like a drunken idiot. Oh wait, he was a drunken idiot now. No way, this is party, Hawkeyes. Now chug, chug, chug it down, cheered Shanks as Mihawk drank the whole cup. Shanks then laughed crazily. Have everyone, let's get drunk. But Captain, I thought you said you felt like crap after the last drunk party we had. Don't be stupid, I can't not be drunk at a time like this. But the sun is still out. Don't sweat it, Hockey. Ha. Time for a toast. To our little anchor of a friend, Monkey D. Lucy. Lucy let out a small sneeze. She rubbed her nose and she looked to the sky. Huh, someone must be thinking about me, she said to herself. Lucy noticed Zoro was sleeping by the figurehead and she gave a light smile. She walked over and she sat on the ram's head, hanging on it by her feet and her arms dangling by the sides of Zoro's head. Lucy lightly tapped on Zoro's forehead. Hey, Zoro, she said in a sing-song voice. Zoro grunted and he opened his eyes, staring at an upside-down Lucy. Zoro simply rolled his eyes. What's up, Lucy? He asked as he rolled to his stomach to continue sleeping. Lucy got of the figurehead and she lay down on the floor next to Zoro, curling up next to him. I'm glad we're all together again, she said. Zoro raised his eyebrow. What do you mean by that? He asked. Lucy rolled onto her back and she stared at the setting sun, streaks of pink, gold, and orange dancing across the sky. We're all together, like a family, she said. Zoro blinked. That was the first, actual piece of logic he heard his captain say. He then remembered something. Say, Lucy, I know this is random but, why were you singing when we went to fight Arlong? He asked. Lucy was quiet for a minute. I was, really afraid. I could tell that Arlong was gonna be tough so, I sang that song to calm my nerves. It's called Hikari, said the she-captain. Zoro rested his chin on his propped hand. What's it mean? He asked. Lucy looked up at him with her beautiful, black eyes. Light, just like my name, it means light, too, she whispered softly. Zoro lowered his head to Lucy's eyes level and they stared at each other's eyes, their looks never leaving. Lucy's eyes suddenly went droopy and she tucked her head under Zoro's chin. Zoro turned red as Lucy's body fit so right next to his and Lucy gave a yawn. The adventure is really staring now, huh? Asked the captain. Zoro looked at his captain for a second before nodding, allowing his hand to stroke the girl's hair. Yeah, get some sleep. You had a few rough days, he said. Nodding and yawning, Lucy rested her head and she soon fell to sleep. Zoro gave a half smile before going to sleep as well, his hand suddenly wrapped itself around Lucy's waist. As the two crewmates slept, the sun had set and the old adventures were about to become anew.